Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action. More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
Central Illinois, and as fall continues to go on, you see a lot of maroon, you see a lot of orange, usually on the trees, but tonight we're going to see some maroon and orange on the football field. It's the Danville Vikings and the Washington Panthers in the first round of the Class 6A playoffs. And good evening, everyone. I'm Jonathan Michael here alongside Gavin Russell. Gavin, it's going to be a phenomenal game here tonight. Washington, a special season for them. Danville comes in with an upset on their mind.
Indeed, and we've been looking forward to this a while. As you mentioned, it's playoff time, the best time of the year in Central Illinois. All 9 weeks have led up to this excitement. We cannot wait for it. There's going to be a lot of great football, some slippery conditions, but we expect some big-time players to make big-time plays.
We certainly do. It's going to be a good one here tonight, and you know, both teams, Washington coming in at 8-1, Danville at 5-4. It's a Mid-Illini Big 12 matchup, Gavin. We always like those at Clutch Sports Media. Maybe not your conventional one, though. Danville comes in. They've got some momentum, winning 3 straight.
Indeed, and, you know, again, Danville has the odds kind of stacked against them here, but they're a team with kind of upset-type energy. They're not a super deep team, but their starters are super competitive, and they have a lot of really good talent.
We certainly do. The story right now, though, is kind of keeping some people away from the stands as the Washington Panthers take the field. The weather right now, the air temperature is 52 degrees, and it's about 47% chance of rain. It's certainly gone up. There's been some rainfall before kickoff here, and it's pretty windy as well. So it's football weather, not the best conditions, but these players will have to play through it here tonight.
Indeed, it was coming down in sheets probably about half hour ago. It's thus kind of died off a little bit, but still not ideal conditions tonight.
Certainly, and let's take a real quick look at the Class 6A playoff glance. Obviously, both these teams in the southern portion of the bracket. You have Washington, Danville. The winner of this game will play Crete-Monee or Champaign Centennial. Funny enough, Washington played Centennial a couple years ago, and Centennial's a conference rival of Danville. And Oaklawn Richards and Chicago Hubbard play tonight, and then also Glenwood and Bloomington. So some games to watch out on down there. We have a sideline reporter down tonight. Joey Wright is standing by talking about Danville's perseverance and their head coach, Marcus Forrest.
John, thanks. Perseverance, the name of the game for Danville this season and the last couple of seasons. Head coach Marcus Forrest, just before the spring 2021 campaign, had a heart transplant, has made a full recovery, is as energetic as ever, and staying the course has been the name of the game for Danville this season as well. The Vikings off to a 2-4 start, but have rebounded nicely in the last 3 weeks. A 3-game winning streak, outscoring their opponents 155-25. Big wins against Champaign Central, Richwoods, and Urbana. We'll see if they can keep it going tonight. Guys, back to you.
And thank you for that, Joey. Again, glad to have Joey Wright with us on board here tonight. Coming all the way up from Champaign, Jonathan, Michael, and Gavin Russell here in the booth. We're going to step aside for a quick break here on CIProud.com and come back with Kickoff live from Babcock Field, Washington Panthers and the Danville Vikings right after this.
Online or on the lot, your best Ford deal is always at Uptrend Ford, the big Ford store down by the river. Choose from more new Fords and get incredible offers from the Ford team you know and trust. UptrendFord.com.
Uptrend, serving you since 1982.
The Foxes becoming a realtor didn't just give me the flexibility I needed. I'm no longer too tired to have fun at night, and I never miss my kids' games. Sunflower got my life back on track.
The Fox has something for everyone.
Real estate group,
Join us
the
at the
brightest
Fox
spot
Pub in North
real
Peoria.
estate.
Get your tailgates ready because it's truck season in the heart of Chevy country. At Uptrend in Washington, we'll take on anyone's best Chevy deal. With more new Silverado half-tons and heavy duties in stock this month at Uptrend Chevy in Washington.
Uptrend, serving you since 1982.
And welcome back to Washington. The Panthers starting lineup being introduced right now. A great group, Gavin, that has won 7 games in a row. Mid-Illini Conference champions after a 42-21 win against the Morton Pirates last week. Let's take a look at what both of these teams did last week. We'll start with Washington.
Yeah, Washington with a big conference championship victory on the road, mind you, to go to Morton and pull that off in a big way. Morton was undefeated going into that ball game, so got to give Washington a lot of props. That's a lot of chops to be able to do that. As for Danville, they had a more than convincing 71-0 victory over Urbana. Granted, Urbana is really starting to just find their program, getting back to varsity action, but nevertheless, Danville took care of business, and they are red hot.
That 71 points was the most that Danville has scored since 2016, I should say, in a conference win against Bloomington. This team has lots of confidence. Again, like Joey just said, Marcus Forrest, great guy, heart transplant survivor, had a background in the Navy as well. Just a wonderful guy, and he's really got this team going the right way. And we'll take a quick look also at the tail of the tape as well, what both these teams have done during the regular season in terms of points. Danville averaging 34 a game, allowing 21.3. Washington averaging nearly 40 and allowing less than 10. Panthers defense has been stout all year long.
Stout, I also use suffocating. They are not allowing anything to anybody. Washington has been very good defensively. As for Danville, they've been a little more balanced, but they can get it done both ways.
They certainly can. And real quick, I want to thank the Academy of Screen Printing Awards for sponsoring tonight's coin toss. Washington won. They deferred. I should say no. Washington elected to receive. So the Panthers are in position to get the ball first. And, Gavin, for them, you really have to watch out for their back, Kanon McQuarrie.
Oh, very easily. You list McQuarrie as one of the top players in the area in Central Illinois, perhaps the state. He is just electric when he gets the football. He keeps the legs turning. It's hard to bring that guy down. Not to mention he's got video game-like qualities. He can make juke moves. He'll jump over you. It doesn't matter. McQuarrie gets it done.
Danville coming on the field. They're getting set for kickoff. Again, Vikings coming in out of the Big 12 Conference, winning 3 in a row, wins against Urbana, Champaign Central. That was a convincing win as well. And Richwoods. A couple of Vikings fans have made the trip on this rainy evening. It's one thing I've noticed, Gavin. I remember when we started the games during the earlier of the year, and it'd still be light out. It is pitch black outside if you take away these lights. So fall is here. November is right around the corner. Halloween is a couple days away as well.
It really is. The leaves are certainly turning, starting to fall off the trees, but these teams aren't falling down at all, John. They are just getting up, and they are playing their best ball of the season. Got to give them a lot of credit for sticking it out. Danville, again, finding their stride, being competitive. We'll get into that much more. Washington's been good all year, but we're ready for some football.
Playoff football is here. Timothy Long to kick it off for Danville, and we are off from Washington. And receiving this is Mason Burke, the senior, and he decides to go right. He has some open space. Can he have some speed? Burke across the 40. Now the 50. A convoy of blockers. Burke might take the opening kick for a touchdown. He will. Mason Burke, a house call on the opening kickoff.
John, that is the second straight week with the broadcast that I have seen an opening kickoff returned for a touchdown.
We saw it last week against Bloomington Central Catholic. How about the Washington student section? They're throwing some powdered paint in the air. It's a party in Washington. Mason Burke is the one throwing it. He took that one about 85 yards to start the game.
We like to talk about football as a boxing match, as the special team unit wasn't even ready to get on for the extra point, but Washington just threw the first big blow of the game and got a much smaller but very rowdy crowd onto their feet.
There you see our scoreboard cam down there at the bottom of your screen, a little blurry because of the rain on the windows of the press box. Here you can see just 19 seconds into this one as the extra point. Washington's Devin Miller is up and good, so Panthers start on the first play of the game, and Gavin, just what does that do for Danville? I mean, 19 seconds in, you're already on the road against the number 3 team, AP poll-wise, in the state, 7-0.
Yeah, I mean, the odds already stacked against you, and that's not going to feel good, but I think it's one of those things that you got to be able to kind of try to make the best of it. You know, it's, again, not ideal conditions, but I saw this last week. Prairie Central had the odds stacked against them against Bloomington Central Catholic. They let that opening kickoff return for a touchdown, and then they were able to go out and find their own magic. So don't let that one play define you if you're Danville, but if you're Washington, keep riding the wave. You're up 7-0 basically to start the ball game 19 seconds in. Got to be feeling pretty good, but a lot of ball game left to go.
Still has the ball game left, and we talked to Marcus Forrest earlier in the week, Gavin. He said, all you need is a couple bounces to go your way, and anything can happen. This is playoff football. Seeding may not be as much of a factor as a lot of people think it may be. A lot of these teams are closer than they appear. We'll see what Danville can do in response. Here's Devin Miller to kick it away. This one takes a quick hop, and Washington may recover this one. A scrum for the ball, but looks like Danville may have gotten on that. That could have been disastrous for the Vikings, Gavin.
Yeah, definitely a design play right there on the squib kick, and you got to play the conditions, testing Danville out early. They're a little bit rattled here early on, but the Vikings can do themselves a favor and settle in here with their first offensive drive.
So the Vikings offense takes the field. Got to watch for them as we look at our players to watch tonight is real quick. Caleb Robinson, number 9. He's more of a linebacker. He will play some running back. Really the main man to watch, though, for Danville is Phillip Shaw in the backfield. Number 4 in white. He's sitting next to Darius J., their senior quarterback at 5'8", 150. This will be a keeper up the middle and short yardage gain. Bring up 2nd and long.
I think the thing I like about Danville in this game, again, not going to say they're the favorites. They're the lower seed here, but they're versatile. They can do a lot of things. You mentioned Darius J. He's only 5'8", 150. He can sling it pretty good for his size, but he also has that dual threat ability to run. So Danville's got a few tricks up their sleeve. Let's see if they can use them.
And Danville, a team that's a little bit smaller, both in size and just program numbers. Jay is looking long and doesn't get it there. It is kind of batted around. He's looking for Javon Robinson, who also goes by the nickname Diddy.
They've got a couple of tall receivers out there for Danville, but they're going to try to use a lot of that speed to get around the Washington secondary, and, you know, wasn't a bad-looking throw. Just, again, ball's going to be a little slippery, so some of these passes may be tough while the rain is still coming down.
Also, Gavin, real quick, revisiting our players to watch tonight. Jace Harlan, our player to watch for Washington. He's a two-way player as well at middle linebacker and fullback. Washington crowding the box big time. Jay gets rid of it quickly, and pass up to Robinson. Breaks the tackle. He's got a first down. Big throw on 3rd and 8. And the Vikings pick up about 12 or 13, move the chains.
That was a really good play right there. Short yardage, but hey, that gets the job done, and they got more than enough for a first down. The thing for Danville, they don't need to try to tear off a lot of yards at one time. Just keep the ball moving and keep your drive progressing.
The Vikings on their first drive of the night convert on 3rd down. They'll probably need to do that a couple times as Jay hands off, and he's swallowed up right at the line by the Washington defensive front.
Man, that interior line is just something else. Maybe one of the best interior defensive lines I've ever seen in the high school level. They've got a lot of big bodies up there, not to mention probably the best player on that D-line, Garrett Cox, who is a two-way monster. Got to give a lot of credit to that Panthers front four.
Cox, again, a senior and leader on that line. Also keep an eye out for Carter Perina on the other end. Two very good defensive ends for the Panthers as Jay hands off to Shaw, and nothing doing, Gavin. We mentioned the edge rushers, but the interior of Washington's line has been honestly their strength the last couple weeks.
It really has, and again, it's just those guys up the middle can create a big push, you know, not allow the linemen to get an open hole for the running back, and even when they do get an open hole, secure tackling in a big way.
Certainly, and that really brings up our keys to the game for both squads. Danville, keep it close. You never know what could happen with a nice bounce. You don't get gashed on defense with Kanan McQuarrie. For Washington, it's no generosity. You can't give away any turnovers. And their Department of the Interior is one of the best in the area. Incomplete pass on 2nd down. It'll be 3rd and 8 now for, 4th and 8 now for Danville. Pardon.
Yeah, back to the keys of the game there, John. Keep it close. Don't get gashed. Very closely related keys. Danville just needs to stay in this ball game throughout. They can't let it get out of hand. They can't give up the big plays. Now, they had a couple nice plays on their first offensive series, but no dice overall. But for Washington, you mentioned it, no generosity. Take care of business. You're the higher seed. Do your thing here on the home field if you want to get it done. And Department of the Interior, yeah, they got some big guys up front that really take care of business.
So Danville will punt it away, and standing at the 27 is the Washington returner. Can't see from my angle who it is at the moment. That was partially blocked. That ball will cross midfield and get a big Danville bounce, so it's not all that bad for the Vikings. They try it down at the 4. Shaw was scrambling or crawling around like a baby on the turf to drown it. Washington takes over at the 40. Let's meet the Washington offense, brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Tyler Humphrey, Jr., quarterback.
Ken McQuarrie,
Jr., right tackle.
Noah Bell, Jr., right guard.
Aiden O'Brien, Senior, center.
Jack Stewart, Jr., guard.
Robert Martin IV, Senior, D-line.
And there are your Panthers offensive starters as a first play of the drive is a short gain on 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. So, yeah, this Washington team, they've blocked some punts. You know, their defensive front can get in there as well on special teams. That can really make all the difference in these big playoff games.
Really can. Nice job, though, there by Danville to get in there and swallow them up the line of scrimmage. Maybe got a yard and a half. But you mentioned it, you know, they're so good running the ball, but they also get it done in the little areas. You know, those special teams and defensive things can really start to add up. You know, maybe a bit more of a one-trick pony on offense, but they do the things they do really well and execute perfectly.
So it'll be 3rd and 7 for Tyler Humphrey and the Panthers. Humphrey, not really a guy that's going to throw it too often, but boy, he can get it done with his legs. Last week, had 11 rushes for 139 yards and a touchdown. And I'll give it off here to McQuarrie. He's trying to plow forward. Danville trying to push back, and the Vikings are going to win the battle. Set up a 4th down for head coach Darryl Crouch's squad.
Yeah, nice job there by Danville, just kind of digging the legs in, even on the slippery turf. And they're going to bring the punt unit out, so that's a big momentum shift there for the Vikings. We always talk about the momentum needle, John, but Danville kind of swaying it back a little bit and, using every last ounce of their energy to just try to pull something out tonight. Really nothing to lose. You got to just lay it all on the line.
4th and 2, so they will send out Garrett Cox to punt it away from the 35. Danville returner back deep all the way at the 10. He will let it bounce to the 25, gets the Danville roll and picked up at the 32. Good starting field position for Danville. Let's meet the Washington starters, brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Eric Doherty, Jr., nose.
Noah Bell, Jr., D-line.
Robert Martin IV, Senior, D-line.
Garrett Cox, Senior, DN.
Carter Prina, Jr., defensive end.
Eli Bear, Senior, linebacker.
Eli Pappas, Senior, linebacker.
Chase Harlan, Senior, linebacker.
Dre Lewis, Jr., cornerback.
Brayson Barth, Senior, corner.
Kenny McQuarrie, Senior, safety.
Zach Ryan, Senior, safety.
Tyler Brown, Senior, safety.
Mason Burke, Senior, safety.
And there's the Washington defensive starters. A big hit laid down by the Panthers on first down. Another give to Phillip Shaw, Gavin. Again, we mentioned Robinson's our player to watch, but you could very easily give it to Shaw. Had 132 yards on just 5 rushes last week.
Yeah, Shaw's definitely the smaller, speedier back, while Robinson has a little more size and frame to him. But they went on a pitch to the near side. I think they need to just get their athletes a little more room to run, so maybe work the outside part of the field. They have a little more space.
Here's a 2nd and 10. Jay will throw. Quick little out route. Ball is juggled and then pushed back. This is going to be a tackle for loss for Washington. Rather, an incomplete pass. I saw the ball come out. And thankfully for Danville, the ball was forward.
And again, after that last drive, they made a couple of nice plays, some short yardage throws, got a first down. So I would go back to that until it doesn't work. Don't become too conservative early on. You got to give yourselves a chance.
It's 3rd and 10, ball at their own 32-yard line. You want to get something here, maybe at least, if nothing else, pin Washington a little bit deeper on your punt. But in case you're just tuning in, Mason Burke took the opening kickoff back for a touchdown for Washington. As Jay rolls out in the shotgun, nothing doing. He's going to get wrapped up by the Washington defense. And that'll start up a 4th and very long. Looked like Eli Pappas was in there for Washington.
I swear it's almost unfair, John. I feel like as soon as the quarterback possesses the ball, Washington has already busted through the offensive line. So whatever they're doing, whatever the scheme is up there, however they have them training, it is clearly working because they've done this against every team they've played so far this season.
So 4th and 20 for the Vikings. Another one that just barely gets away. And Washington, not much of a return there, out to about the 46-yard line. It looks like our Joey Wright down the sidelines has another report. Joey, we'll send it down to you.
All right, Joey, you can go. When ready, go. Guys, one key for Washington here, keeping Danville's defense on the field. Danville only traveled about 30 guys to the game today. They've been playing with a roster about that size this season. But fatigue could become a problem for the Vikings, especially if that defense is staying out there on the field. Guys, back to you.
And thank you, Joey, as Washington now gets ready to start their 2nd drive of the game. The 3rd time they've had the ball. The first time was just that kick return, and nothing doing much for McQuarrie, Gavin. This Danville defensive line, led by Evan Yates and Tavion Diltz, are going to have their hands full, but they stepped up right there.
They really have, and they faced some stiff run competition already this year. We'll kind of get more into who Danville has faced, but they faced the likes of Malik Ross from Peoria High and Tommy Davis from Normal Community, so they've had their hands full all season.
High snap, and Humphrey may get tackled for loss. What can he do with it? He'll get wrapped up there by Caleb Robinson. It'll still be a loss, but make it 3rd and 9. Slippery ball is probably going to have some effect here tonight. Maybe levels the playing field a little bit, so maybe you like that if you're Danville.
You do, and oftentimes we refer to it as the pigskin. I'm pretty sure tonight it's the bar of soap, John. It's going to be slipping and sliding all over, even if the rain does stop. It looks like it's slowed down significantly, but the ball is going to remain slippery as long as the turf does. Danville will take it 3rd and long. We'll see Washington can dial up.
Humphrey in the shotgun and 4 wide receivers. That's Barth in motion. They're going to run an end around with him. He's got some room. He's got some blocks, and he is across the first down marker. Washington will keep things moving. A pickup of 9 when they needed 8 from Brayson Barth.
And honestly, as I've seen Washington several times this year, John, I feel like they've had the most success when they don't run between the tackles. I feel like when they try to get the ball to the outside in a play like that, getting him into some open field, they've had the most success. We'll see if they look back to a similar play.
You got to figure that Washington will keep it on the ground a lot. And you talk about keeping it on the ground a lot, Gavin. Last week, Washington only threw the ball twice. Didn't have a single completion. It was all on the ground, but they ran for over 430 yards. I think that'll play. 4 wide receivers again. Jess McQuarrie in the backfield, and he is patient. No, Humphrey has it. He fooled out us in the booth as well. He picks up about 5 on first down. Nice fake there from Washington's junior quarterback.
Yeah, my eyes immediately went to McQuarrie there, but nice fake out. You get some decent yardage there on first down, and that's what Washington's going to have to do. It may not be the prettiest game, the best night for football, but at the end of the day, you just got to put points on the board and try to get out here with a victory.
Washington already taken about 2.5 minutes off of the clock, and they've only moved about 16 yards, so they're certainly winning the time of possession battle at the moment. First quarter is flying by here in Washington. Humphrey, designed quarterback run, and he's still going. He breaks a tackle now inside the 20, and Danville is starting to feel the effects of what Tyler Humphrey can do to them on the ground.
It looks like a couple players shaking up back on the play. It looks like maybe Alex Doe, one of the defensive linemen for Danville, hobbling around a little bit. Danville's not a deep team. Again, their starters can play with just about anybody. They just don't have the reserves to shore things up when guys need a breather or have an injury. So we'll see if that plays an effect. But you got to give credit to Danville. They made the playoffs with as small of a team as they did. They've made it through 9 weeks. What's one more?
Only about 35 players on their roster total. They have 9 two-way starters. Here's McQuarrie, and he's wrapped up pretty close to the line of scrimmage, so a necessary stand there for the defensive front. Danville's defensive starters are Kamarion Miles, Tavion Diltz, Alex Doe, Evan Yates on the line, Caleb Robinson, Phillip Shaw, Curtis Beasley, all 3 players that start on offense as well at linebacker. Then in the secondary, they have Caden Young, Jerry Reed, Diddy Robinson, and Jaden Rowell.
And I noticed something with both offensive and defensive lines for Danville. They're rather young. They've got a couple juniors. They've got a couple sophomores up there. So this is a group that will be back next season.
It certainly will be. And the ball is out. McQuarrie tries to fall back on it, but Washington's going to lose about 8 here. It's going to make it 3rd and over 15. So already trouble on 2 snaps for the Panthers, hanging on to the football. Something to keep an eye on as we go under a minute here in the first frame.
I bet it's time we get Irish Spring to sponsor us with all the slippery balls we're going to see tonight.
Irish Spring is more of a bath soap.
That's what I'm referring to. Bar of soap. I love Irish Spring. It smells amazing.
That's true. I'm more of a kind of a gel soap guy. I use Old Spice, but usually I think of hand soap. I think of, my family always had the brand Palmolive. So maybe if anyone from Palmolive, soft soap as well, they're a good one. Play clock is winding down. There's a 3-second difference, so Washington will have to snap it. A little bit of some miscommunication. Now it's under 10. Panthers still not at the line. It's down to 5, now down to 3. 2, will they get the play off? Just barely in time. Humphrey hands off to McQuarrie, running right. He's got some open turf. McQuarrie could take it to the house, and he does. The Panthers start and end the first quarter with touchdowns. This time, it's Kanon McQuarrie.
What a really good-looking play. Had everybody fooled. That time it didn't slip out. McQuarrie slipped through the line, though, and was able to get in for 6.
So Washington now a 2-score lead, and McQuarrie doing what he does. His 23rd touchdown on the year, all on the ground. He also has 1,284 yards to boot. I think that drive probably put him over 1,300. Here's Miller now for the point after. This will cap off the first quarter of play. It is up, and it is good for Washington. They take a 14-0 lead after the first quarter. It's been a great one, full of action here at Babcock Field. Step aside for a break. We'll come back here for the second quarter on CIProud.com.
At Bob Grimm Chevrolet in Morton, we're excited about the all-new tracks, and they're selling as fast as they arrive. Just listen to Lee.
I looked everywhere for my 2024 Chevy Trax. I'm from Indiana, and I drove right over to buy it. Such a smooth and simple process.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
Michael's Italian Feast, home of the best subs, pizza bread, grilled cheese, and Italian beef fry. The best pile-high subs and hot sandwiches in Central Illinois. And no one has better homemade, always fresh from the oven bread. Michael's Italian Feast.
And welcome back to Washington's second quarter of play, just getting started. Now Mason Burke and Kanon McQuarrie with touchdowns for Washington, and the Washington cheer team, they're up and hopping around, doing a little line dance, it appears, and lots of Brave fans making the trek out here today as we'll get set for Washington to kick it away.
Okay, so 2 will be game cam for this kickoff here. Ready to take 2.
John, thanks. We'll get roaming up the...
It'll be Devin Miller again. He's also the goalkeeper for Washington soccer team to kick it away. And real quick, let's get a look at our Upstring Auto Group scoring drive. They went 8 plays, 55 yards in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So a nice drive that burns up a lot of clock, considering the time of possession they had and how many yards they went. Controlling the ball is really all you got to do, and Washington's doing a good job of that so far.
It really is. You know, Danville didn't play all that poorly there in the first quarter. As, again, rain starts to come down a little heavier, but Washington made the big plays.
Diddy Robinson picks up. He shakes the tackle. Here goes Diddy Robinson. Just a man to beat. He beat one. Now he comes back, and oh my, what a play. Diddy Robinson, a human highlight reel, wins the race to the end zone. What a touchdown for Danville. Oh my word.
Man, 2 touchdown returns in this ball game. How about that, John? You see something new every day.
I don't think I've ever seen them both to start each quarter as well. Diddy Robinson told Mason Burke, he said, hey, anything you can do, I can do better. That was a highlight reel run. I don't know how many times he switched directions. A couple times he shook tackles. He evaded some more. He shut off the speed as well. What a play to get Danville back in this game and give him a nice boost of energy here on the road.
That's a 6'2", just human highlight reel athlete right there. As you mentioned, he cut back so many times. Nobody could bring him down, beat the kicker, beat one other man, and there you go. Danville's on the board.
Now Timothy Long on now for the PAT. It's a little low, but it's good enough to get through the uprights, and a good. So Danville not wasting any time here in quarter number 2. Let's send things now down to our Joey Wright. Has another hit on the sideline. Joey,
let's go.
Down to you, buddy.
John, thanks. If you're going to follow Danville Athletics, Robinson is a name you better know. Javon Robinson, they call him Diddy for a reason. Big kickoff return there. Caleb Robinson as well. Chucky Robinson in the Cincinnati Reds organization. That is a Danville name. And, John, I can tell you, when Danville scored that touchdown, Robinson ran it back. That was the jolt of excitement Danville's fan section needed. They haven't traveled incredibly well, but the fans that are here are loud. They're into it, and with this rain starting to fall, good opportunity for Danville's defense to perhaps poke the ball loose from McQuarrie and make a play here. We'll see what happens, guys. John, back up to you.
Thank you, Joey. Always good to have a silent reporter, Gavin. Joey is, in case for viewers at home that don't know, he's also one of the prep sports reporters at the Champaign News-Gazette, well known in the Danville area, and also the co-founder of Clutch Sports Media, able to come back for tonight. Give us lots of good info from the sidelines, and the Vikings kick it away. Washington will try and get a response now from the 15. Here's McQuarrie, I believe, with it out across the 30 and tackled now down at about the 33. It's a pretty average field position here for the Panthers. Gavin, 11:29 left to go in the second quarter. I don't believe we've seen a Washington pass, at least so far.
No, and I don't expect to see much at all. You know, probably less than 5, I would say, in this entire game, for sure. But they're going to keep the ball on the ground a lot.
And the head man for the sidelines on Washington's side is Daryl Crouch. You saw him there for just a brief second, and there he is. In his 19th season, and he is retiring at the end of the year, Gavin. He doesn't want this to be his last game. He said he's not really nervous before it. He's just excited more than anything. But, you know, whenever his last game is, and I'm sure a lot of the Panthers faithful hoping it's not tonight, it's going to be an emotional scene. 1st and 10, they hand off to McQuarrie, bounces off a couple tackles, pick up of about 3 or 4. Some physical playing down near the line, and both players played near the whistle as Kamarion Miles and a Washington lineman just going all out.
Yeah, you mentioned don't want to be Crouch's last game if you're Washington, and, you know, he can get up to 6 games, you know, if they can make it all the way to 5 or 6, I believe, if they can make it all the way to Bloomington Normal. It is 6. I had my first number right there, but Crouch would like to play a few more games.
And as a first flag of the night, so our officials haven't been too busy. This will be an offsides on Danville, make it 2nd and 7 now to 2nd and 2. You know, now, Gavin, if you're Danville, you feel like you probably have to, you got a good play from Diddy Robinson, but, you know, you're still down 7. You're on the road against a very good team. You got to compound. You talk about not wanting to compound your mistakes. You want to compound the good plays, and I think they have to do so here on this drive. 2nd and 2, and fake handoff. It looks like Humphrey kept it. Danville sold out to stop Jace Harlan, the fullback for Washington, and it'll be a 1st down Panthers.
Yeah, and it goes back to our keys of the game, John. You know, you got to keep it close, and you got to limit Washington's big plays. Don't get gashed in this ball game. So see if Danville can hold up here, you know, 50-yard line. They've got a little breathing room behind them still, but Washington inevitably is going to start figuring things out a little bit more here as they go a little deeper into their playbook.
Panthers are smack dab at midfield, just one wide receiver. Humphrey hands off to McQuarrie, and he finds a way through the trees, and he is home free. Kanon McQuarrie just doing Kanon McQuarrie things. Panthers lead back up to 2 scores.
Well, it's not a guessing game how long that touchdown was. Even 50 for McQuarrie as he finds the end zone for his 2nd touchdown of the evening. He's done big things all season. Wouldn't expect anything different when the lights shine brightest here in the playoffs.
And Cam McQuarrie, we've gotten used to seeing him quite a couple times on Clutch Sports Media. He's hoping that it's not his last game either as a Washington Panther. And that one is up and good for Washington. But, Gavin, this really has just been the theme of the season for Washington all season long, is how many seniors and how experienced they are as a young group last year. Not the case this year.
We knew last year when they had just such a big junior class how good they were going to be this season. So they're really showing it in every way throughout 2023.
And let's take a quick look at our Upstream Auto Group scoring drive. Washington goes 3 plays, 66 yards, 50 of them on the McQuarrie run in 1 minute and 28 seconds. So scoring starting to pick up, Gavin. I don't know about your game down at, you were at Bloomington Central Catholic and Prairie Central, last week, but my game between Dunlap and Metamora, the 2nd quarter was just back and forth. It was like watching a giant ping pong match with how much your head was going back and forth down the field.
We saw very little scoring last week. You know, we've scored about as many points in this one as we scored last week, but that game was great for its own reasons and was very exciting down to the wire. But this one definitely has the makings with a lot of big plays. We're not going to see these slow, methodical drives. You mentioned ping pong. It's going to be back and forth all evening.
We've seen Washington go on a long drive, a short drive, and also return a touchdown. We'll see what Diddy Robinson can do this time around. Bouncing ball near the sideline. Who's got it? Danville does. This is Caden Young on the return, and he's got some open space. He makes a move across the 50. He's finally brought down by Ian Nettles. We almost saw Danville's 2nd kick return for a score.
Wow. I'm almost speechless. I feel like every time there's a kickoff now, I'm expecting a return for a touchdown. The odds are, say it's a pretty good opportunity if you can find a little open space, and there's more than enough athletes both ways that can make that happen, John. But Danville has a decent field to work with here, a little over 40 yards to go. And again, if you can just tear off a couple of chunk plays, keep the ball moving forward, you could very easily find the end zone in the next few minutes and, again, keep this just a one-score game.
How about this, Gavin? Danville's down 21-7, but one reason to know why they're still in this game, Dunlap was down just 21-7, and they've now made it 21-20 up in Blue Island, playing the Eisenhower Cardinals. Ball is out for Danville, and it's still out. Washington may pick this up. Who's got it? No one can hang on to it, and it's Washington football. This defense comes away with another turnover.
The bar of soap is slippery. It is everywhere out there. That ball touched probably 5 to 10 different hands before it was recovered. Felt like it just kept getting kicked, and we pretty much switched fields. I mean, it was about in the similar spot for Danville, but again, the elements are going to prove challenging and don't go in Danville's favor.
Obviously, there's obviously still hope if you're down 2 scores, but that's something you can't do, Gavin. Again, our keys to the game is turn the ball over. Now you give Washington the ball right back. Humphrey looking to unload down the field. He's looking for his man, Barth. Physical play. Ref holding on to the flag and keeps it in his hands. Incomplete, make it 2nd and 10. It's the first time we've seen Humphrey throw it tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Again, just 2 pass attempts last week. He's 27 for 65 on the year with 351 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. There is a flag down. This is going to be a pass interference on the offense, so an OPI call.
I didn't notice anything, could have been away from the play, John, perhaps. Some illegal contact, perhaps from another receiver trying to create some open space, but they're going to back way up here. So Danville with an opportunity despite the turnover now could take advantage of the penalty on 1st and pretty long.
Be 1st and 25. So maybe I'm saying maybe not a pass interference call because that was a 15-yard penalty.
Must have been a personal foul.
Yeah, personal foul against Washington, so that doesn't help for them as Humphrey will keep it here. He's got some room to run. He picks up a chunk of about 8. If they can do it a couple more times, they can make it 4th and manageable. I'll bring it about 2nd and 17.
It's really difficult for Danville to try to read these plays. We've seen them get kind of faked out multiple times, but you kind of almost have to sell out for one guy. Otherwise, you're not going to bring them down. So they're managing as is. You just got to be able to kind of figure out the little reads and things, which is a lot easier said than done.
So 2nd and 16 now for Washington. 2 wide receivers and 2 tight ends, one of them being Carter Prina, the other one being Garrett Cox, their defensive ends. McQuarrie, or rather, that is Hunter Reed, who came into today with 137 yards and 2 scores on the year, not picking up much to make it 3rd and long. You have to convert here and get off the field if you're the Vikings.
Certainly do, and I've kind of noticed this out of Washington. The couple times I've seen them, they kind of go a little more scarcely on playing Harlan and McQuarrie in the 2nd quarter, so perhaps just trying to keep their legs fresh going forward. But Danville's got to capitalize while the best guys are off the field. But right on cue, Kanon McQuarrie enters the field for 3rd down as the Panthers try to convert a long one.
3rd and 16, you may figure, well, that's probably a passing down, but yeah, Kanon McQuarrie in the backfield. Maybe you can pick up 16 on the ground. We just saw him take 50 yards there, as we're going to get a timeout here by Washington. This timeout is brought to you by Fox Pub in Peoria. I want to thank Fox Pub for their support of tonight's broadcast. Every timeout tonight is sponsored by Fox Pub in Peoria, and it sounds like our Joey Wright has some more information down on the sidelines. Joey, down to you.
Guys, spending some time on the Washington sideline, I would describe it as a quiet kind of confidence. After that last fumble, the players were fired up, the fans were fired up, the cheerleaders were fired up, the bench was fired up too, but it was a quiet, more subdued sort of confidence. You get the feeling that the Panthers feel in control of this game. they've got a lot to play for, guys. As I'm sure you've talked about plenty. This is Darryl Crouch's final season at the helm of the Washington Panthers, looking to go out with a bang in his 19th season. Guys, back up to you.
And thank you, Joey. And again, it's such a special season for Washington. It's their 100th year of football. They have decals on their helmet that say 100th year of football, so something new for the Panthers. They had NFL Films visit them back in the preseason for their in their night of practice where the moms get to tackle their sons. That's always a huge hit. Everyone loves that. And the fellas over at NFL Films got word of it and decided to come over, talk to them, and it's also a great season for them. And a great pass from Humphrey to Brayson Barth. He lost the ball. I think they're going to say he was down. Again, no instant replay in high school football, but I think if you were to review it, I think it'd be pretty conclusive that that knee was on the turf.
Yeah, I got very fortunate. His knee came down. Otherwise, maybe been looking at a fumble, but they don't air it out much. That time they showed 5 receivers out. Danville was saying, I don't know, maybe they'll try to go the quarterback keeper, but that time they did indeed pass, and my mark of 5 total passes for the game is looking bleak as they've already aired it out a couple times on this drive. But hey, got to do what you got to do. You got to have all facets of the game firing into the playoffs.
Barth, the only Washington receiver with over 100 yards on the season. Handoff goes to McQuarrie. He's got some open space, and 3 touchdowns for Kanon McQuarrie. He finishes it off from 19 yards out, and now a 3-score lead for the host Panthers.
Did the little cha-cha slide, a little left, right. Got into the end zone for number 3. The hat trick for McQuarrie just in the first half, and there's still quite a bit of time to go.
PAT will be Devin Miller again, who his soccer season unfortunately came to a close earlier this week. A very close 3-2 game. They fell to Dunlap in the sectional semifinal. We were broadcasting that game. That one is up and good. So 28 Washington, 7 for Danville. Vikings are going to need a response here soon before the half. Otherwise, Washington, that quiet confidence that Joey just mentioned is going to just continue to increase. McQuarrie already now at 25 touchdowns on the year. Gavin, you're watching Joliet Catholic and Peoria High, our other game tonight. You can watch that on ClutchSportsIL.com and our YouTube.
Indeed, I was just taking a quick peek at the score. Well, we got a bit of a break, and that one's knotted at 0. I was told by our crew out there at the game. The game started late as Joliet Catholic arrived late, so go tune into that one. A lot of time left.
Boy, that's not the best way to get ready for the playoffs. It show up late, you know, you're feeling rushed before the game, maybe not your routine, so something to keep an eye on. That should be a good game, though. Joliet Catholic, a perennial state power. And we'll take a look at our Upstream Auto Group scoring drive. Washington goes 5 plays, 56 yards in 2 minutes and 27 seconds. The hat trick you mentioned, Gavin, for McQuarrie. Speaking of hat tricks, I saw one earlier this week, not on Tuesday's soccer game, but also on Wednesdays as well. Peoria Christian winning a sectional title. It's been a week full of hat tricks. And Danville will return this one. Here's Amari Neely. He's wrapped down at about the 37-yard line. So now Tyler J, Phillip Shaw, and the Danville, I should say Darius J, rather. Phillip Shaw and the Danville offense will take the field again. I think here, Gavin, you just want to put a long, sustained drive together.
You got 7 minutes, and I would try to chew up just about every bit that you can. It's been one of the things they've tried to go on some little screen passes and some short yardage passes that have not really worked out. They've lost the ball a couple times, so just don't beat yourself on this drive and just put something together.
2 wide receivers and 1 man in the backfield, or I should say 2, as Jay hands off, and a scrum of bodies, and Washington came away with the football somehow. Somewhere deep in that massive humanity, the ball came loose, and it looks like it's Washington football. They just ripped it right out of his hands.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there, John. I thought they would have stopped the play due to forward progress unless that ball had already come out and it was bouncing up and down maybe for grabs. So look at Washington again forcing turnovers, and they are just really putting themselves in a position to possibly run away with this one.
Things just went from bad to worse for Danville. They got that great kick return from Diddy Robinson, but aside from that, it's been really tough sledding for Marcus Forrest's squad here in the first round of the Class 6A playoffs. And this is the 2-seed Panthers versus the 15-seed Vikings. Humphrey motions McQuarrie out to the outside. They fake the screen, and it's wide open for Washington. That's Garrett Cox, the tight end, waltzed it into the end zone.
Everybody's getting involved with Washington tonight, and how about that? A passing touchdown. That's not something you hear a lot from the Panthers, but opponents beware. They can pass the ball too.
Washington is running away with this game, outscoring Danville 20-0 already in this quarter. They could make it 21-0 here with this PAT. And Gavin, again, the turnovers, the forced fumbles, and just taking the ball away out of that. Again, not sure what happened in that massive scrum. I didn't even see who came away with it because there were just so many black and white shirts down there. But it shows you just how determined and fired up Washington is to win. That silent has got to be, even though it's cold outside, it's wet, rainy, not the best conditions. They're probably feeling pretty good down there.
Yeah, you got to be. And, you know, again, they're huddled a little close together there on the sideline trying to stay warm, but spirits definitely are high for the Panthers as they'll decline the offsides penalty and let the man kick the PAT.
Here's Miller. He's 4 for 4. We'll see if he can make it a quintet of successful kicks, and that one is a beauty right down the middle, and it's 35-7. Washington has the lead, and, you know, Gavin, when it's a 4-score game, that's when it's maybe not panic time, but you got to do something quick. Otherwise, this could get out of hand.
Yeah, again, the turnovers have been just costly. You know, it's more Danville shooting themselves in the foot. Now, Washington, plenty of credit there for taking advantage of the opportunities, but Danville is really not doing themselves any favors whatsoever.
And let's get a look at our Upstream Auto Group scoring drive. One play, 37 yards. Tyler Humphrey to Garrett Cox. You don't see Garrett Cox catch too many passes, let alone touchdowns. Again, defensive end by trade, and a very good one at that. Probably an all-conference player, but yeah, he does some important things on offense and just wide open there. McQuarrie on that pass, Gavin, he was motioning like, hey, I'm open, throw me the ball. Is kind of a fake out, and then no one was left back to cover the tight end.
Again, just not paying full attention there, getting caught sleeping a little bit as the ball falls off the tee, but just little things. You know, Danville just kind of got to get out of their own head. That's, again, a lot easier said than done, but that's why you got to be able to make adjustments, and it's a resilient team. You know, again, the odds very much stacked against them. We'll see if they can indeed make those adjustments.
And Miller boots it down the field. Caden Young and Robinson back to receive. This one bounces to Young now past him. Ball taking all sorts of crazy bounces tonight. See what he can do with it. Up across the 15. Gets out of one tackle, but not the second one. Washington has a gang tackling mentality, Gavin. They're just always there. And real quick, let's take a look at some highlights from this Washington defense. What they've been able to do, just forcing turnovers. Take a look at back what they did against Dunlap. Back in week 7, they had 2 pick-6s, Gavin, from their defensive line. You see Garrett Cox, he had one right there, so he's scoring touchdowns all sorts of different ways. Then they, later in the game, in the third, first drive of the half for Dunlap, they created pressure. Noah Bell was able to return that for a touchdown. All started, though, with that defensive line. And then here, you look at that gang tackling mentality. That ball was a 3rd and 15. You assume that they would pass as Dunlap, or I should say Danville, excuse me, runs short yardage on first down, but that last play was a 3rd and long. You'd expect that they'd be, you know, set for a pass. Within 2 seconds, they had 6 or 7 people all around the football.
Indeed, and just a lot of heads-up players on this Washington defense. You know, you got to be able to, you know, anticipate and get there. It's something that, you know, can't always be taught by a coach. It, you know, kind of just comes with experience, and that Washington has, but it can also be coached up a lot as well. Washington just kind of has all these facets going for him.
2nd and 7 now for the Vikings. They'll hand it off to Caleb Robinson, and he pushes forward out across the 20, but not much past the line of scrimmage. So 3rd and long, and deep in their own territory. You really need a conversion here. They did so pretty well earlier in the game, but have struggled to put drives together since. I think this is where Darius J., their senior quarterback, really just has to tell his guys, hey, we're all right. Just come through on this play and take it one play at a time.
He's gotten it done several times this season. We'll see if he can do it again.
Split backfield for the Vikings. Washington showing blitz. And this one may be a false start on Danville. That appears to be the call. So back the Vikings up 5, make it 3rd and 11. Jay on the year, he's a little bit more of a passer if you at least want to compare him to Tyler Humphrey. He's thrown for 1,046 yards, 11 touchdowns with 59 completions on the year. But he can also run it as well. He's got over 270 rush yards and 3 scores. His stats last week didn't really do a ton, but again, playing against Urbana, your stats are probably stunted a little bit because you're not keeping your guys in the entire game. It was a chance for the younger guys to shine for the Vikings.
Indeed, and you kind of mentioned he's had some struggles as well, but again, they faced really good defenses throughout this year. Normal Community, as we get another stoppage, it'll be a timeout from Danville. They have faced, kind of looking at their schedule a little bit, they faced Glenwood, a playoff team, Peoria High, Bloomington, Normal Community, among many others.
And this time is brought to you by Fox Pub here in Peoria. And while we have a stoppage as well, our Joey Wright down what he's seen down there on field level.
John, thanks. I had a chance a moment ago to catch up with Washington Athletic Director Herb Knobloch. With this being Daryl Crouch's final season, a lot of emotions for the Panthers, and Herb told me it hit him and Daryl pretty hard last week when Washington beat Morton to clinch the Mid-Atlantic Conference title. Last regular season home game of Daryl Crouch's career. Herb told me, you're so busy during the season, you don't have a lot of time to think about those things. Last season was a chance to reflect and share some emotions, but they put those emotions aside today, looking really good, leading by 28 points here late in the first half. John, back to you.
And thank you, Joey, again. So much of what Washington does is attributed to Daryl Crouch. Again, two of some of the best, most likable head coaches here on the field today. Marcus Forrest was a joy to talk to earlier in the week as 3rd and long. Jay is looking long, and it hit Young in the hands, and it bounced off. That was a beautifully drawn up play and a beautiful throw, which is bounced off of the fingertips of Caden Young, who Marcus Forrest calls their Angry Bird.
I don't know that one was even as much on the wet conditions as it looked like he just kind of turned his head around a little bit late, and it almost surprised them to see the ball right there in his grill. Not able to come up with it, but 4th down now, and Danville will punt away.
Caden Young, as Marcus Forrest said, who is his Angry Bird, he calls him that because he's just like a spark plug. He's always looking to wreak havoc, always got a lot of energy, and as this punt is a high one and caught for a fair catch at the 39 by Barth. So good field position here again for Washington. If they play their cards right, burn up some clock, they could go into the half with a 42-7 lead without giving Danville the ball back. But we'll see what this Vikings defense is made of here in these final 4.5.
Indeed, and it's one of these things that you obviously want to be able to run kind of your normal offense defense. If you're Washington, you want to stay kind of in your rhythm as you have all season long, but you also want to start keeping guys' legs fresh. If you really, truly do think you have a chance to go all the way, which I think Washington thinks they do, and they certainly look like it, you want to keep guys fresh throughout these playoffs.
That you do, and here goes Kaden McQuarrie again. He's brought down from behind at the 10. Or rather, that was Jace Harlan, the fullback. Yeah, our player to watch for tonight. We knew he was going to have a big game here, with that's an area that Daryl Crouch said that, watch for Jace Harlan. He gets some good carries this week, and, even though he's a fullback, he can run the ball like a running back as well.
Yeah, he really can. He's really strong despite his size and stature, but he also has great athleticism, takes it again, and keeps turning the legs. Did he get there?
He's going to be close.
Going to be just short.
Not quite, and at this point, you may as well just give it to him again. say, hey, man, you're a senior. You know, your final year for you. You've worked hard on this drive. Let's reward you with a touchdown. Harlan has 247 rush yards on the year, and last week he had 9 carries, which was a season high. He's got 3 scores on the year, and he is in the backfield with Hunter Reed right now. They do give it to Harlan. He slips and falls. So that will make it a 3rd and goal now.
And Harlan, you know, he's got a lot of those uncounted stats. If there was a stat for good blocks, he may lead everybody in the state. You know, he has been the up man for McQueary. He is the reason McQueary has scored as much as he has. And, you know, I don't know if this is something they just do in the pros, but McQueary might owe him a steak dinner.
I think it may be a bit different in high school. Maybe you don't have
maybe like a Culver's meal or something.
Quite as many funds as these professional athletes do. And I don't think Cam McQueary has any NIL deals at the moment, but you never know. Yeah, hand it off here to Hunter Reed, who plows behind McQueary. He laid, or I should say Harlan, rather. Harlan laid down a great block, and Hunter Reed finishes off for his 3rd touchdown of the year.
Well, McQueary owes him Culver's, and Reed's going to owe him maybe some Taco Bell or something after this one. Harlan got the ball down there and set him up for the score throughout another block. So kind of our player to watch, living up to the hype, and Washington adds on another.
Danville, they were right there hanging with Washington, and this quarter they've let gone of the rope. It's been all downhill for the Vikings, now down 42-7. Good news for them is the silver lining is, A, you get the ball back to start the second half, and B, you have a chance to score here. So you could cut it down to 42-21 if you can just make some plays and get something going on offense.
Yeah, again, just got to try to find some magic any way you can. But Washington, 42-7, they've got it done in just about every facet of the ball game. Special teams, defense, offense, you name it. Washington has done it this evening. I think the biggest point for me, John, I take away is all the takeaways from Washington. They've taken the ball away several times, and that's been the biggest difference maker.
I think kind of maybe a defining play of that game is one where Danville ran up the middle and Washington has ripped it out of their ball carrier's hands. And I feel bad not being able to credit who took it away, but there were just so many people there, and that Washington defensive front 7 again, Harlan part of it at middle linebacker, Eli Bear and Eli Pappas. Eli squared's a pretty good math equation for the Panthers. And you got Garrett Cox, Carter Prina, Noah Bell, Robert Martin stuffing the holes up front. It's going to be really interesting, Gavin, to see how deep this Washington team can go if they can hold on to win tonight. Everyone has to kick us away and on the ground. Everyone likes to doubt the schools from Central and Southern Illinois, saying that they're not as good as the Chicago schools. They don't play anybody. But if you're maybe not a Washington fan, you're just watching some 6A football, or if you know a team or a fan of another team in Class 6A, you got to watch out for these Panthers because they really live up to being the 2 seed.
Oh, no doubt about it, John. You know, I think it's one of those things that it's a bit of a different world in the suburbs and inner city Chicago than it is, you know, in Central and Southern Illinois. You know, the style of play maybe is a little different. You know, the scope of the competition is a little bit different. But Washington is well-versed. You know, they've seen a number of different styles, and I truly believe they can play with anybody, as is Danville. You know, again, very similar boat. Again, just lack a little bit of the depth and a little experience at this point. But for the Vikings, they got a lot to grow on, and making the playoffs here is a really good start. 2nd straight year for the Vikings.
Handoff here to Phillip Shaw on the first play, and he's not doing much there. Eli Bear was one of the first ones in for Washington. Senior linebacker had a great game last week with 6 tackles. And Jace Harlan also in on the stop as well. He's their leading tackler with 55 right now, at least coming into the game.
Harlan, man, he is everywhere and very much this unsung hero of the Panthers. He'll rack up the tackles, but again, a lot of those stats that don't get credited for, he racks all of them up. So a lot of credit out there to Jace Harlan.
2nd and 10 with 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs for Danville. Jay in the shotgun takes a snap, and he's immediately being hounded by Cox, and he's not going to get much. It may be a loss. Garrett Cox just flew off the line. Number 80 in black was off to the races in pursuit.
Cox is just able to just go through the line without any contact. You know, he uses a great blend of speed and strength to muscle his way forward, and that time just blew around the opposing offensive lineman. Getting very scary, any team lining up against Garrett Cox.
And for Danville, again, they have their tackles Kamarion Miles and Tavion Diltz. They probably knew they were going to be in for quite a big test here tonight as Jay looking to pass quickly here on third down. And is caught by Diddy Robinson. He makes a nice play, and he's still shaking tackles. What a fun player to watch he is, and he's still going before he's pushed back out at around the 38-39. But boy, you figure after he made that sidestep, you figure maybe he could bring it out for a touchdown like he did with that kick return earlier.
You could think that for sure, and honestly, Danville just got to keep doing this. You know, push all the chips in, throw the ball, whatever you want to do. It's time to just lay it all on the line. I would keep the ball in the air.
Clock is winding down below a minute now. Danville on the Panthers 32. This will be a design quarterback run. And Jay is brought down and the ball is out. Washington picks it up. That's Tyler Brown on the recovery. Coming up from the secondary, he was right there. And Washington gets their third turnover of the first half.
Turnover machine. Save some for the rest of us, Washington. Do it once again, and I think that's a point where Danville probably, again, just should have kept it in the air. Hey, even if you throw an interception, at least, you know, it's a little farther down the other direction of the field, unless, of course, they can get a pick six. But, yeah, Danville, again, just not doing themselves favors and have kind of handed this one on a platter to Washington.
That's something they knew they couldn't do because, you know, Washington, they can – so earn a win as Humphreys looking deep for Garrett Cox again. The tight end having a monster game for the Panthers inside the 20.
I feel pretty confident saying Garrett Cox is having a career game at tight end as there's an injured Viking on the far side of the field. But Cox is just a monster both ways in this game.
Yeah, Garrett Cox, 2 massive catches. That one going, I believe, for about 21 yards. And he had the 37-yard touchdown earlier, so already 58 receiving yards for Cox. Made some big plays on defense as well. Didn't get to see who the injured Viking was right now. It's been a cold, rainy night in Washington, but conditions are better now. Credit to the fans that have stuck it out. Babcock Field is not as full as it usually is. If you're watching at home, glad you're with us here on Clutch Sports Media and CIProud.com. I also want to give a shout out while you have a break to Darrell Robinson from Danville, the head basketball coach. He's one of our biggest supporters, even though he's, you know, closer to the state line than, you know, maybe Central Illinois, like here in Peoria or Bloomington, but a great friend of the program. He's always in our Twitter notifications, liking everything. So, Darrell, our best to you, and hope you're enjoying getting to watch the Danville Vikings. As Panthers go 1st and 10, Humphreys finds Barth wide open. No one around him. He's inside the 5. Panthers do have 2 timeouts left. Humphreys looking really good throwing the ball, Gavin.
He really is, but I got to really shout out there Henry Warwick on the offensive line, and none of this is possible without those front 5 along with Harlan, as he's going to throw it again. The ball slips out. See what they call timeout Washington, but Henry Warwick threw a huge block there, the right tackle, and took the man to the ground. So this offensive line for Washington is got to get a lot of credit also. Let's not forget about them.
Certainly, and, you know, Warwick is a all-conference returner, a returning starter, as we get a Fox Pub timeout. I want to thank them for their support of tonight's broadcast. But, Warwick is a returning starter on the line. Cash Wisher is a returning starter on the line. You have Aiden O'Brien at center, so he's got some experience. They do have a little bit fresher face. They have Josh Hofer at one of the tackle positions. He's a sophomore, but you also have Jackson Stewart as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's the younger brother of former Washington quarterback Jake Stewart.
Indeed he is.
Our Charlie Shermerhorn from Washington here confirms that fact, so glad I guessed right. I was really just going off of their resemblance just physically, and I figured, hey, he looks like Jake Stewart, but in the lineman's body.
The name can also do some justice to putting that comparison together.
8 seconds left for Washington. Can they put it in running clock territory before the half? Humphrey's looking to pass. He's looking for James Johnson, and there's a pass interference call against Danville. That one was pretty clear. Caden Young is going to get called for the flag, so this should be a 1st and goal from about the 1, but it's not a spot foul, though, in high school, so it may just be half the distance. We'll take a look and see. Don't see this situation too often.
No, you really don't, and it's gotten confusing for us a couple times exactly there on the rules, but it does look like they'll move them up to half the distance, 5 yards, and they'll go from the 5 with 5.7 seconds left.
PI is a 15-yard penalty in the high school game, not a spot foul. If we're playing on Sundays, then you get 1st and goal from the 1, but likely the last play of the half for Washington. But if they go quick, they can maybe squeeze in 2. That's if they need it. Humphrey, empty set. And there's a timeout call. It's going to be a false start against Washington, so they'll just give that penalty yardage right back.
Yeah, you don't like to see that if you're Darryl Crouch. Everything's pretty much been going right for you, but got to execute in these, short yardage, low time moments, and don't like to see the penalty, but still an opportunity nonetheless.
And it looks like they're going to bring the field goal unit out here, play things safe, and try and make it a 45-7 game. I think, maybe if you go quick, I think you maybe had a chance to run another play, but they'll just go for the quick 3. Their lead already big. We started this quarter at 14-7. And the 27-yard try from Miller curves right in with half a second left, and that'll make it 45-7. It's been all Panthers here in the second quarter. They've put up over 30 in the frame.
And just a half a second left. It's really a fitting way to cap off a dominant first half performance. A hat trick of TDs from Kanon McQuarrie, and they add 3 more off the kick right there.
We'll see if maybe what Diddy Robinson can do for Danville. Maybe he can pull off another crazy kick return for a touchdown. And I got to say, that's probably been the most entertaining play, I'd say, of the first half. Cut back every which way, broke some tackles, showcased some speed as well. And even though it wasn't a touchdown, it was still a scoring drive for Washington. The scoring drive is brought to you by the Upstring Auto Group. They go 5 plays, 41 yards, and 39 seconds. Again, started by that fumble recovery from Tyler Brown.
A lot of bizarre plays here in this first half, John. I think the only way to really do justice for it is you got to go back and watch it. Can't really describe it all that much with our words. We can only say a little bit to it. But we got the game start off with a bang and kickoff return for a touchdown. And I wouldn't put it past as they're going to little kick here. It's not going to mean anything. Halftime here in Washington.
Washington 45, Danville 7 here at the break. Danville made it 14-7 after a touchdown return from Diddy Robinson. But then it was all Washington from there. Multiple turnovers. Kanon McQuarrie's got a hat trick of touchdowns. Garrett Cox playing well. Hunter Reed a rushing touchdown as well. Tyler Humphrey throwing the ball well. It's been a real team effort here for Washington.
It has, and as I mentioned earlier, they've gotten it done at every level of this football game. They've been able to get in and do it special teams. They've been able to do defense. I mean, you name it, they've done it.
Certainly, and we'll take a quick break here. At halftime, you're watching Clutch Sports Media. It's our WMBD Game of the Week. Gavin Russell in the booth alongside me, Jonathan and Michael. We'll step aside for these messages on CIProud.com. Our Joey Wright joins us in the booth. They'll be recapping the first half and talking some basketball coming up as well with Eric Schermerhorn, the head coach for Washington, the Panthers boys basketball. It's going to be a good season for them, and it's not too far away. Stay tuned after the break. You're watching CIProud.com.
10 to 15% off MSRP. It's Jeep Adventure Days at Uftring and Pekin. New Grand Cherokees and Grand Cherokee L's, 10% off MSRP. New Gladiator Sports, 15% off at Uftring Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Uftring, serving you since 1982.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub.
It's time to get out and about with the help of Academy of Screen Printing and Awards, outfitting you for special events, youth sports, business wear, and shirts for the workplace, and school events. Academy of Screen Printing and Awards has you covered. Let us help you today.
Sam Lehman of Morton, the #1 Ram truck dealer in the Midwest with over 100 Rams in stock and coming. During our Ram Power Days sales event, take $11,000 off brand new Ram Bighorns or finance for 2.9%. And shop during our Jeep Adventure Days to save with $8,500 off MSRP on a brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Plus, take $4,000 off hard-to-find brand new V8 Dodge Chargers. It's the last year of production, only at Sam Lehman of Morton.
TV, or are we just talking?
And welcome back to Washington Community High School. Joey Wright and Washington head boys basketball coach Eric Schermerhorn with us here at halftime. Washington in command of this one, 45-7. Real quick, Eric, great crowd on hand. Walking through the student section, not one of my brighter ideas. They are numerous down there. They're all collected by the fence. A great crowd on hand here for what's been a fun season at Washington so far.
Pretty impressive that you've got a monsoon going on out here. The temperature dropped like 20, 25 degrees. I don't know what it actually dropped, but it definitely got colder. But kickoff returns, couple touchdowns, and a fairly big Washington lead right now.
We'll get into basketball season here in just a minute, but I want to ask about this football season because it's had kind of a special feeling in the hallways of Washington Community High School. I know Daryl Crouch, 19th and final season at the helm of this program. It's meant a lot to this school, meant a lot to this program. What's the feeling like here as he enters his final couple of games?
So how fitting, 100-year anniversary of football. Coach Crouch is irreplaceable. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a pillar in our school. He's a winner on and off the field, and he's going to be tough, but our defensive coordinator, Todd Stevens, has got to be one of the top defensive coordinators in the state, completely respected by every football player. So I know that we're losing a Hall of Famer, but we're also going to have a heck of a football team next year, too.
Absolutely. That defense looking good here tonight. You don't make the playoffs by accident, and looking good against a very good Danville team here at the half. But, Eric, I want to talk, of course, about basketball season. Right around the corner. We're inside of a month until the Kevin Brown Memorial Tournament of Champions. Really looking forward to that, as we always do at Clutch Sports Media. What can you tell us about this year's field? More local teams than ever before, or at least in recent memory, but still plenty of national teams, plenty of that national power.
So super observant. The local teams have changed the dynamic of the tournament. For the longest time, it was Washington, and then it was national teams coming in. Metamora's addition. Metamora has been playing very good basketball, state champion last year. They're one of 6 state champions in the KBM TOC this year. We're really excited about Notre Dame. Owen Dillon can play. And then, of course, the addition of Morton. You know, a local team, Middle Illini, very, very talented basketball team. So that's 3 Middle Illini schools. We were looking at Notre Dame, and then Hayworth coming in too.
Looking forward to seeing what Abe Zeller can do at the helm of the Morton Potters this season. His first year as head coach of that program coming over from Roanoke Benson. Going to be a lot of fun. And then nationally, who can you tell us coming in from around the country? A lot of great talent as always. A lot of D1 talent folks will hear at the college level and potentially beyond in the next few
know
years.
We don't have that long,
yeah.
But this year's field is so diverse, so loaded with teams. In the Washington Invitational by the city of Washington, if you've ever watched ESPN, the old Hoover football from about 10, 15 years ago, Hoover basketball looks like Hoover football on the basketball court. Absolutely enormous. Great collegiate. Has got future guys that are going to not only play Division I, but potentially NBA basketball players. And then the team to watch, besides Washington, is Dale, Oklahoma. is a team that's a lot like the old Dora team that we had in. 2-time state champion, 39 wins in a row. Had a kid the other day that made 176 straight free throws at practice. So Dayton Forsyth is his name. That's Wednesday nights, the night to be at the TOC.
Looking forward to having it. If you can't make it out to Torrey Gym, we'll have it all for you live and for free on ClutchSportsIL.com. It'll be some 50 hours of coverage by the time it's all said and done. It's a crazy week for us, Eric. I'm sure a crazy week for you as well. Take our viewers inside just how hectic that week is for Eric Schermerhorn, the head Washington boys basketball coach, and a big role certainly in organizing.
So I have to rewind on you, because the hectic part starts with a committee and a board and a KBM TOC team that works virtually year-round to make sure that this thing happens. All money donated, all proceeds go to KB Strong Fight Against Glioblastoma. And then when that tournament starts up, you guys are so huge, you're such a big part of it. You're going to be there Saturday and Sunday, gearing up, ready to go. And then on Tuesday night, at 4 o'clock, 50 straight hours, you're all going to have to get heavily caffeinated. I saw a couple of you last year. You looked absolutely exhausted by the end of the week. But you know and I know it's well worth it. It's super fun by the time Saturday night rolls around.
It is a lot of fun. It's an understatement. I've been on the treadmill a little bit, working on my conditioning. I'll need it for Friday and Saturday. Could be a hectic weekend for us, too, looking at what football teams might make a run. But the Tournament of Champions, certainly a crown jewel of what we do at Clutch Sports Media. Really looking forward to it. Eric Schermerhorn, head Washington boys basketball coach, is with us at halftime. Eric, looking beyond the TOC, you mentioned Metamora, a team you guys know well. Fierce rivalry. They won the IHSA Class 3A state championship a year ago, played in the state title game the year before. They headline a lot of talent in the area that certainly includes Washington. You mentioned PND in the Big 12 Conference. What can you tell us about the area this season? What can area basketball fans look forward to?
So as I've been approached and asked over and over again, this year is starting to look a lot like the 90s basketball. Powerhouses, Manual, Powerhouse Central, Richwoods, all around the area, the Middle Illini, and at that time it was the Mid-State 9. Basketball was just that good. It looks like basketball is that good right now. The Middle Illini has 5-6 teams right there at the top that are all going to be in the mix. You know the Big 12 is going to be good. I can't wait to see what this is going to look like.
And the Washington Panthers, what can folks expect from you guys out on the hardwood this season?
Our off season has been phenomenal. We've got a core group that is dedicated. The beauty of Washington, multi-sport athletes all over the place. You know out there right now, we've got Big 88 out there. James Johnson is a wide receiver. Andre Lewis is out there. 3 of our sophomores dress varsity as well. So you're going to see a basketball team that is a tall team, a bigger team, a highly skilled team. I think we're going to bring a lot of toughness and grit. We're going to look like a very traditional Washington team.
You don't have to go back very far to find other multi-sport athletes. Isaac Mapson, Drew Lewis, the list goes on and on. Washington certainly getting after it in every sport. It's great to see. Eric, one more question for you. I want to go back to the TOC. You mentioned KB Strong, Kevin Brown's foundation, the fight against glioblastoma, pardon me, such a big part of the tournament. What can you tell us about that angle? It's for a great cause. I know a lot of money's been raised in the past. That fundraising effort, what can we expect this year?
So just to tell you where we're at right now as an organization, KB Strong, since our inception in 2019, we have now honored 30 warriors that have been diagnosed with glioblastoma just in this area alone. We're obviously fighting a fight, and the fight is more widespread than people ever thought it was. So coming to the TOC, watching great basketball is not only going to be fun, entertaining, but down deep, it's also for a great cause that we're going to try to help as many families that are affected by this horrific stage of stage 4 brain cancer.
It's a great cause, worthy cause. You'll learn a lot about it Thanksgiving week. We'll have plenty of opportunities for you to donate by watching our coverage on ClutchSportsIL.com. Eric, thanks for joining us here at halftime. Have a great day. You're on the PA mic over there, right? Working the crowd a little bit.
That is me on the PA. Any mistakes, so you can blame my crew over there, Coach Little, Mr. Freeberg, Mr. Facker. That's their fault if something goes wrong on that PA. Clutch, we appreciate you guys, everything you do for high school athletics. So you guys represent a lot of great kids out there, so we appreciate you.
We appreciate that. Always a pleasure to be out here in Washington. We've got a great crew. We'll let them take the reins after a quick break. Eric Schermerhorn with us at halftime. Washington leading 45-7. The second half of an IHSA Class 6A first-round contest is next on ClutchSportsIL.com.
It's truck season in the heart of Chevy country. At Upstring in Washington, rows of new Chevy trucks are here. And we'll take on anyone's best Chevy deal. Plus, we're dealing on Equinox, Trailblazer, Blazer, and more at Upstring Chevy in Washington.
Upstring, serving you since 1982.
Michael's Italian Feast, home of the best subs, pizza bread, grilled cheese, and Italian beef fry. The best pile high subs and hot sandwiches in Central Illinois. And no one has better homemade, always fresh from the oven bread. Michael's Italian.
Family banking from a name you trust. Hometown Community Banks. For over 6 decades, we've been here right where you needed us. High-quality banking services delivered by caring professionals. People just like you who live and love Central Illinois. It's a history we're proud of, and one we'll continue to offer to every person who walks through our doors. When you bank in your hometown, your money stays in your hometown. Hometown Community Banks, divisions of Morton Community Bank. Look for the clock tower and you'll know we have time for you.
At Bob Grimm Chevrolet in Morton, we're excited about the all-new tracks, and they're selling as fast as they arrive. Just listen to Lee.
I looked everywhere for my 2024 Chevy Trax. I'm from Indiana, and I drove right over to buy it. Such a smooth and simple process.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
And welcome back to Babcock Field here. About 3 minutes or so left before the teams take the field at least. Gavin Russell and Jonathan Michael here back in the booth. I should say Jonathan Michael and then Gavin Russell. I am Jonathan Michael, Gavin Russell next to me. But Gavin, again, first round of the playoffs, kind of make the transition from Friday to mostly Saturday football as well. But there's still being some games played on Friday night. Obviously, this game, our Joliet Catholic and Peoria High game, is looking to be really good right now. That game on ClutchSportsIL.com and also on our YouTube channel as well. Peoria High looks like they're leading 8-3 in the second quarter right now.
No, Joliet Catholic actually just scored a touchdown, unless it may have gotten called back. I'm trying to tune in there. I obviously can't hear what the commentators are saying because I've got the headset on. But indeed, Joliet Catholic did just score, so they just took a narrow lead late in the first half. That's going to be a barn burner. You don't want to miss that one. Cody Schindler, John Camosa on the call.
And how about this, Gavin? We're so accustomed to seeing, teams like Joliet Catholic, but especially Peoria High put up lots of points. That game is currently 9-8, pending the 2-point conversion. As we're watching live, it's good. So it'll be an 11-8 game, unless Peoria High can score before the half. 50 seconds left, but 50 seconds is more than enough time for those Lions to go down the field.
Well, if for some reason they call this game at halftime, I'd want to know the scoreagami on that one, especially in Peoria High history. Usually 8 is not a number that they end up with a final score as. So we'll see what they can do. Lions have, the little bit that I've tuned in here and there during our breaks, looks like they've just again struggled with some of the wet conditions, dropped a couple of passes, had a couple of botched snaps. Joliet Catholic, similar boat. That's why it's a close game at 11-8. Don't miss that one, ClutchSportsIL.com.
And then tomorrow, Gavin, we'll have MacArthur and Metamora in a great 5A game. That's going to be a good one. Metamora was 1-5 straight. And MacArthur, they're getting hot as well. They beat Bloomington 54-10 last week. And their freshman running back, Myson Johnson-Cook, again, keyword freshman, just got offers from Iowa and Penn State yesterday. Your chance to watch him tomorrow on ClutchSportsIL.com. That's going to be a really good game, I think.
That young man has got a lot of high school ahead of him, but he's also got a big college future looking in his direction. And, that's a game that I feel like with two teams that are just so incredibly hot with so much momentum, it's who's going to budge first. We could see an absolute shootout in that one, so do not miss that one tomorrow, 1 p.m., as MacArthur and Metamora go at it. That's going to be an excellent matchup.
Certainly, and we'll get some quick scores from around the area. Dunlap still trailing, but only 21-20 at Blue Island Eisenhower. That's the 8-9 matchup, Gavin. And if Dunlap were to win, in all likelihood, they would probably host Kankakee next week. And honestly, I think the Eagles, despite being, the underdog, I'm sure in that game, I think they could hang with them because their defense, maybe I think the Panthers have the best defense from Washington here in the Mid-Illini. I think Dunlap, though, is a close second. I think they could keep it close against the K's.
Close second, but a very respectable runner-up. Washington has an almost second-to-none type of defense, but Dunlap really gets it done. They've had a couple issues with some discipline. They'll struggle with penalties and things at times, but at the end of the day, they've just improved significantly throughout this entire season, and they have got those dueling sophomore quarterbacks to go along with it.
They certainly do, and Dunlap, they actually appear to have scored a touchdown by Gabe Munoz, but the referees called it back. So Dunlap fans a little bit upset about that. The other one, keep an eye on it. Cole City is beating Normal U-High 16-0. Pioneers' first trip to the playoffs, playing against one of my favorite team names in the entire state, the Kohlers. Normal Community up 41-0 over Argo in Class 7A. And then Stark County was beating Princeville 12-0 Princeville was beating Stark County 12-0 last time we checked. That is a 15 versus 2 matchup. Princeville's the 15. And then Eureka is down 28-0 on Montini in quarter number 2. So that's the scores from around the area. We're going to toss it to a quick break and come right back for kickoff here the second half on CIProud.com.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams.
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
Your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action. More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
And welcome back to Babcock Field. Getting set for the second half. Washington leading 45-7 after a 31-point second quarter in which Kanon McQuarrie scored 2 touchdowns. Garrett Cox caught one at tight end. And Hunter Reed also punched one in as well. Devin Miller, he's having quite a game at kicker as well. 6 for 6 on PATs and made a 27-yard field goal to end the first half. So Danville will get a chance to respond again. Marcus Forrest, probably not the halftime speech he envisioned or wanted to have for the Vikings, but I think, I know, talking with Marcus Forrest, I think a lot of it is going to be, playing with pride, playing the way.
Field is kick things away here in half number 2, but Washington, just taking care of business, and I think Vikings just want to have a fun second half.
And breaking a tackle is Jerry Reed. He reverses course. This could be number 2 of the night for Danville, and it may be. Jerry Reed's got wide open field and no one to beat. Brown in pursuit. He's not going to catch him. Jerry Reed takes the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. That's 3 quarters. We've all been started with kick returns for a touchdown.
I mean, this is just a phenomenon of epic proportions. I don't even know what to describe it as.
I mean, that's how you inject some life into the Danville sideline for sure. Special teams, at least the return game, has been there for the Vikings. Now can they just get something else besides that going? Jerry Reed, the senior. And long will come on for the PAT, but you never know here, Gavin. I don't know, maybe Danville tries to pull a Peoria high, get an onside kick, recover it, keep that momentum. Who knows, but they've made it a little bit closer of a game. I've never seen a football game, Gavin, where 3 straight quarters have started with a kick return for a touchdown. It's like Devin Hester in the 2006 Super Bowl times 3.
No kidding. I mean, I don't know, there's probably really no good way to tell that, but I don't know if it's ever happened. Maybe in either school's history or even in Central Illinois. That is pretty epic, and you love those plays, right? They're not the plays you usually see on a typical football game. That's why it just hypes everybody up so much. And, that's why Devin Hester, as you mentioned, he was one of the most electrifying players for the Bears. And something I was thinking about earlier today, John, if you're a Bears fan out there, like very much I am, there's not
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Well, I stay loyal to my Chicago teams. But as disappointing as they've been, the most memorable moments and the most exciting parts of the Bears, maybe in their entire history, have come from defense and special teams. So you don't even have to be the best offensive team if you can do it when it means most. So, hey, got to give credit to both these teams for finding other ways to have success.
So Javon Diddy Robinson took back the first score for Danville, and then Jerry Reed does so again there. They will boot this one deep. And picking it up at around the 16 is Mason Burke. Makes a move. He's got some space. Could we see another one? He does have some blockers. He gets to the sideline before he's brought down by Diddy Robinson. And yeah, let's take a look again at, just what Danville's been able to do the last couple weeks. They were 2-4. You get see them. They were in a rain-soaked game in Week 8 against Richwoods. They won that one 21-3. Phillip Shaw, the touchdown there. And then you see them against Urbana last week. That 71-0 win. Even though maybe you're not playing the best schools in the Big 12, Champaign Central and Richwoods and Urbana, still being able to respond and get 3 straight wins to get into the playoffs is still quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do, as Washington will get a good gain here on first down. Should be a first down. But you mentioned, some of these recent games, they've just taken care of business. And against, Champaign Central scored 63-71 against Urbana. They were able to beat Centennial. Champaign Centennial is a playoff team at 6-3. And, making a comparison here, Danville's team size is that of what Washington would see in an East Peoria or a Limestone. So to come out here and just compete and be on this field in this stage is pretty impressive as is.
And the ball carrier stopped right away by Tavion Diltz, the sophomore D tackle. He bear hugged him and racked him down for a short gain. It'll be 2nd and 10.
And keyword there, sophomore. They've got a lot of guys that'll be back next season. A lot of guys with a lot of size. Just really one senior starting in that front group for Danville. So I'd expect to see a lot of the same names starting next season for the Vikings.
Hand off to Harlan, and again he's going nowhere. Diltz on back-to-back plays. Danville has some life, Gavin. I think that touchdown did something for him.
Diltz has kind of sold out a few times this game. They've gotten burned on, some of the trick plays there and the option handoffs, but Diltz not fooled that time. Back-to-back plays and a big third down.
Diltz is their tackles for loss leader. He was their center last year, but Marcus Forrest said there were some fumbled snaps. So we want to keep him as far away from the ball as possible, at least on offense. On defense, he knows how to find the football, and that one handed off to Hunter Reed. A short gain, so it'll be about 4th and about 3 or so from the Danville 26. Washington keeping their offense on the field. If you can just stop here, Gavin, and you play the what-if game and a touchdown, you could make it a 3-score game potentially.
Tried to get him to jump right there. Danville was able to hold up.
Humphrey hands off. He's going to Reed again, breaks the tackle, and he's being pushed back. It's going to be very close, but it looks like he got the first down the second effort. Hunter Reed showing what he can do.
Shame for Danville. They put together a really nice sequence right there, and that wasn't even all that much of a run. It was just short yardage, and they were able to go through and get the first down.
Hunter Reed, a junior for Washington, so he's probably the heir apparent, you would think, to Kanon McQuarrie. McQuarrie burst onto the scene last year. Not many people really knew who he was coming into the year, but my, oh my, did he jump onto the scene. Here goes Hunter Reed again on the far side. He's got the first down and more. Flag down. It might be a hold against Washington. This one could be coming back, but another good run there from Reed. We'll wait to see what the men in the Zebras have to say.
We await the call, and Washington already going backwards. It is an offensive holding. John, that flag reminded me we haven't seen many flags tonight, which I am a big fan of. I really do not like when there's a lot of flags, being able to keep a very clean, disciplined game, and we've seen that for the most part. So credit to both teams on that as well.
And I think both teams both coaches are happy about that. You figure that your team is certainly warmed up for the season by now. No more of those silly penalties. Humphrey's going to pass it here, rolls out, and he finds, guess who? Garrett Cox shaking a tackle, and he's carrying a couple of Vikings with him. down to about the 12-yard line. That should be a first down, Washington. Garrett Cox having probably a career game receiving.
Oh, no doubt about it, and I hope he likes being a tight end because I'm sure they'll start working him more into these playoffs. You know, if they can keep moving forward. Cox has been really just kind of a out-of-nowhere offensive part.
Garrett Cox, tight end, has a nice ring to it as they hands off to Reed, and he's still on his feet before he's brought down around the 5-yard line or so. That's what I've seen from both teams on this drive, Gavin. You know, Washington, a couple nice plays, Reed some good runs, the nice pass from Cox, but also, you know, Danville as well is they haven't broken yet. They're not allowing any big plays. They're making Washington work for it. And Washington is trying to communicate with their sideline. The heir apparent to Darryl Crouch is their defensive coordinator, Todd Stevens. They've already appointed him as next head coach. Harlan is met at the line by a whole ship of Vikings, and Tavion Diltz is the captain.
Diltz has been the man. I mean, he's had multiple stuffs right up there at the line, and, you know, Diltz, a sophomore, man. I mean, he may be one of the more unnoticed up-and-comers in the Big 12 Conference, and, you know, the more experience he gets, the older he gets, he is going to be a problem for opposing teams, especially when it comes to the run game.
2nd and 5 now from the 7. Quick score update from the Mid-Illini. Dunlap has taken a 28-21 lead over Blue Island Eisenhower. Humphrey fakes over to Reed. He finds Garrett Cox. Pass incomplete, broken up by Diddy Robinson. If you were to pick an MVP for the game, Gavin, it'd probably be him, as there's a Viking down in the end zone. And looks like that may be Caden Young.
Cox is human after all. He's not able to finally catch one. He's been just about completely unstoppable tonight, but they'll tend to the injured player. Hopefully he can get back into it.
You can get into CSM Overtime, our new written venture. Again, lots of great written content, weekly pick'ems for all the football games around the area, daily roundups, I should say, of all the scores and stats and highlights from around the area. No one, at least, mentions all the scores, all the highlights, I mean, other than maybe the TV stations, but we cover it all every single day. News, feature stories as well, and photo galleries. And so head on over to clutchsportsIL.com/overtime to subscribe today. Costs less than a monthly Netflix subscription, so get on over there. Send down to Joey Wright on the sidelines. And Washington will get ready for 4th and goal here from the 5. Not sure if Joey's mic was working. We'll try and fix that at 4th down, and it's batted away. Great deflection by Jerry Reed. It'll be a Vikings ball deep in their own territory now.
Hey, say what you will, but the Vikings have not allowed a point in this half. They got that big kickoff return for a touchdown, and, you know, they haven't had the offensive success, but if you can finally figure something out, we'll see what they can do.
So it'll be 1st and goal from the 8 for the Vikings. If you can go down quick and score, make it a 24-point game, and hypothetically, yes, that is a 3-possession game, and still a tall mountain to climb, but we'll see what Danville's made of. It's my first time seeing the Vikings play. 5 wide receiver set here for Jay. That one's bad at the line and picked off. Or is it? Incomplete pass. Looks like that may have been Bayer that came away with it. Eli Pappas, their other linebacker, had a pick 6 last week.
Very close, but just the nose of the football hit the ground. Almost had it. That would have been something else. Danville has turned the ball over a number of times this evening.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 now from the 8-yard line. Danville gets another life. They go again, 5 wide, no one in the backfield with their quarterback Darius J. Man in motion is Diddy Robinson, and there's a fumble on the handoff. It's going to be a touchdown, Washington. Carter Prina recovers it in the end zone, and the other defensive end gets in on the act. Washington has crossed the 50-point threshold.
Can't keep him off the board for long, John. That one was just served right up to him, and they head right through the line, take the ball in midair, and in for 6.
And you mentioned about buying steaks for your teammates. Well, Washington, they've been getting served some steaks from the Danville offense, who's struggled with turnovers all night long. You have to wonder what this game would be like if the Vikings maybe didn't turn it over quite as much. His PAT is good, and it's 52-14 here in Washington, the first round of the IHSA Class 6A playoffs. We'll send things down now to our Joey Wright, who's got his mic back working on the sideline. Joey, down to you on the field.
Guys, with that last Washington touchdown, the crowd has started to thin out just a little bit. But I tell you, in the first half, when this place was rocking, I've seen bigger crowds. I don't know if I've seen crowds as spread out around a field as I have here tonight. There were folks in the student section. There were folks behind the sidelines. There were folks on the Pantherplex. I saw folks in little tents watching on the sidelines. Fans are all over the field here tonight. A big crowd on hand. Rain has driven some folks away. Herb Knobloch did tell me, though, they're watching all around town, including at Keck Sports Bar and Lounge.
Crowd again,
right
thinning
down
out
the
a
street.
little
Guys,
bit.
back up to the
Student
booth
section
with
is
you
kind
guys.
of just up along the railing. Usually they're up all the way to the top row of the bleachers, but
that's okay.
They've seen already quite the performance from their Panthers here tonight. Here's another kick return for Danville, where they've been the most dangerous, but and there's a fumble on the play, and it's Washington football. The bar of soap has been unable to be handled by Danville tonight.
Might want to check our inbox. Dove has just reached out, reaching a sponsorship for all of our soap references tonight.
We don't have an official soap of Clutch Sports Media, but boy, if you want to be one, tonight's the night. Well, funny enough, Gavin, Joey Wright, his family, I just remember this, they own a soap company. It's called the Wright Soapery. We've got to get them on board. Have to. It's too easy.
That's way too easy. How about that? Things you learn.
I'll talk to Joey when he comes back up to the booth and see if we can get his mother and father involved in that. Nothing doing for Washington here on 1st and 10. Handoff to Mason Burke, who's a little bit of a gadget player for Washington. He transferred in from Dunlap, former brother of the Eagles. I should say not former brother. He's still the current brother, but brother of former Dunlap quarterback Madden Burke. And he's played at safety, running back, even a bit of quarterback as well.
Well, you
Been
like
all over
to
the place.
be able to get your depth, a little bit of run here late in the game. Obviously still with kind of that playoff atmosphere, and you're playing against a playoff team. So not bad competition for him to be able to get in there. Burke, a senior, but definitely plays a vital depth role.
And Burke, he got the scoring started for Washington. You may remember on the very first play of the game, an 85-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. That just started the barrage of fireworks for Washington. I know it's Halloween coming up soon, but I think maybe the Panthers got their holidays mixed up and maybe think it's 4th of July. It's timeout brought to you by Fox Pub in Peoria. I want to thank them for all their support and for all of our sponsors here tonight that helped make tonight's broadcast possible. And again, head on over to CSM Overtime. We have some coverage recapping the playoffs from this week. Our John Camosa is over at Joliet Catholic Peoria High. He'll have a story for that game. Gavin, I know you'll be writing one for the MacArthur Metamora game tomorrow. We have all sorts of playoff previews and coverage, analysis. Also, check out our weekly In the Clutch podcast on our YouTube each week. We only podcast in the area that talks about high school football and high school football only, as Mason Burke now in at quarterback. He was looking for Prina, the tight end. Incomplete.
Clutch Sports Media Overtime is a lot of fun, and it's something that, prior to me joining Clutch Sports and being able to come out and participate with a great crew here, it's, something that we didn't have a lot of coverage for everything and all the teams and all the sports. And, finally, as a high school sports fan, it's awesome to see. I love reading all of our other writers' articles. I love putting them together myself. So if you're in a similar boat as me or just want to kind of feel it out a little bit, no harm. Go check it out for a month, and if you love it, keep going with it. I'm sure you will.
See if Washington can keep on loving what they've been able to do on offense. 3rd and 11. Burke's pass to Tyler Brown, incomplete. But Gavin, you mentioned about CSM Overtime. Obviously, really the main thing with it is just being able to cover multiple sports. Obviously, I know Danville maybe don't know quite as much about, but Washington, I know they're having really good years in all sorts of different sports. Their soccer team, again, had a great year as well. Their cross-country teams are still alive, and they look very, very good. Their freshman Ben Gorsage finished high in regionals for them, and so he's our athlete of the week this past week. And then also got swimming going on. You got volleyball still going on. We'll be able to cover all of it this year as Burke gets all of it on 4th down. Looks like it's incomplete. Ball was knocked out late there by Amari Neely, so it'll be a takeover on downs for Danville.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot going on, though. There is certainly a lot, and, playoff time is a lot of fun as we kind of exit one season and head into the next. There's a great transition and a lot of content, a lot of basketball coming up. I am very excited for that.
Our basketball previews. We have
indeed.
those for a bunch of teams around the area, boys and girls.
Indeed. Not to cut in, though, I got official word. The Right Soapery is on board for upcoming broadcasts, the official soap of Clutch Sports Media. So no more of this Dove or Irish Spring. It is the Right Soapery as your choice for all things soaps.
We could have a bidding war. We'll see if anyone is interested.
I'm fully committed. The Right Soapery is going to lather it up with Clutch Sports Media. Get in on the next broadcast.
I think I have no choice but to go and buy some soaps from the Right Soapery after tonight's broadcast. Old Spice won't be getting another dime from me.
Sounds
First
like
and 15, Danville. It'll be an empty set here for Darius J in the Danville offense. Graves quieted down a bit, and he's looking across the middle. Burke in coverage. Jay was looking for a Johnny Davis, a sophomore, 6'1". He's made some big plays the last couple weeks, had some touchdowns in their recent 3-game win streak. And Gavin, looking ahead for, assuming Washington's able to hang on, and I would say the probabilities are very heavily slanted in their favor, but they would face either Crete Moni, who knocked them out 2 years ago, or Centennial, who they beat in order to get to Crete Moni 2 years ago. Jay looking deep. That ball out of bounds. It'll be 3rd and long now.
Yeah, that would be an excellent rematch there for the Panthers. Really funny to kind of full circle there for Washington, and several of these players may have, been kind of up-and-comers as sophomores at that point 2 years ago, but, Darryl Crouch might like a little revenge on Crete Moni, and ultimately, though, I'm sure probably going through his head is just one game at a time, and probably what he's going to have for the post-game meal going into the practice on Monday. So Panthers are just trying to finish this one out and enjoy it while they can.
And the backups are, for the most part, in now for the Panthers. Some starters are still in there, especially on defense as Diddy Robinson's in motion, and he fumbles the ball. This is going to be another takeaway and another touchdown for Washington. That's Garrett Cox, number 2 of the night. This time the fumble recovery variety.
And that slippery ball touchdown's brought to you by the Right Soapery and the Panthers.
Joey Wright's moved up to the booth now. We got to see if he can make a graphic for the Right Soapery that we can throw up on the broadcast at some point.
He's on it.
Unbelievable. 58-14 Washington, but Garrett Cox, he is loving the soap. Him and the Panthers are looking clean tonight. An extra point could make it 59-14, and it's up and through. Devin Miller's been a busy man this evening, and again, the second time on the end around to Robinson where they haven't been able to have a clean handoff, and Washington's made him pay.
Haven't really been able to judge the play because it hasn't even really been able to work out. Again, the conditions not exactly favorable. The rain has looked like it's stopped out there, but it's definitely a very, very chilly night. I can feel it kind of coming through the windows here at the Babcock Field press box, and I'm very fortunate to be inside.
Quick update from Dunlap. It's 28-28, 2:10 left in the game. Dunlap has a 4th and 4. Almost the same position they were in last week. Obviously, it's not they're not trailing like they were 26-21. They had a chance to win the game on the last play. Couldn't quite get it done. They couldn't get out of bounds. But another week where Dunlap has a massive 4th down. That's 3 weeks in a row. They could have kept things going against Morton as well. But then GB Kruzik, the Potters cornerback, swatted away a pass and swatted away the Eagles' hopes of winning that one. This one being returned by Jerry Reed. And that kick returned for a touchdown earlier, and Danville will start at the 29.
Yeah, the Eagles have had some unfortunate luck this season, lost a couple of close ones, but, you know, you feel like this is the time you got to put all that behind you and clutch up, as we like to say. Curious to see how that one pans out. I'm sure you'll be getting some score updates, but every game counts. I mean, every game could be your last, and those seniors certainly, you know, don't want to have that happen.
Dunlap overthrew the pass, and now they're going to have to play defense to try and either maybe get the ball back quick or force overtime.
Lots of drama in the IHSA postseason. That's what makes it so fun. You never know what you're going to get on a game-to-game basis.
Still 11-8. Well, it looks like they're about to kick off the second half at Joliet Catholic and Peoria High. As Jay takes a snap, high one, but he corrals it. Hands off to Shaw, running to the right tackle. Fly down in the backfield. Nice run there for Shaw, but it looks like that may be a hold or an illegal block on Danville. That's one of the better runs we've seen from Phillip Shaw tonight, Gavin, who came in with just under 900 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns. He was 4th in the state in wrestling last year. Marcus Forrest, Danville's head coach, also the wrestling head coach at Danville as well.
Yeah, when you got stats like that, I mean, that's pretty impressive. You know, 899 coming into the game on 102 rushes. You know, he got it done, scored some touchdowns, and again, you know, Shaw going out on a high note with his senior year, helped this team make the playoffs again. You know, it wasn't all that long ago. I know the Vikings were playing for a conference championship against Peoria Central. So the Vikings, you know, starting to get back into it, trying to increase some of their team numbers and things like that. But, you know, they've had some really good standouts to go along the way, and got to give them a lot of credit.
Be 1st and 20 now for the Vikings after that hold inside their own 20. Overthrown snap. Ball is out again. Is this Washington football, as it's been so many times? And it is. The celebration's almost subdued at this point because the Panthers are so used to recovering fumbles tonight. As Joey is working frantically mid-game to make the right soapery advertising. We'll have to send them an invoice after tonight's matchup.
They're getting plenty of ad time tonight. Lots of fumbles out there. Been a struggle. How about the way of another update? Joliet Catholic just scored a touchdown early in the second half, so putting Peoria high on the ropes a little bit.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Washington, as looks like Madden Mendoza in the game now at quarterback, and give up the middle, picks up pretty good yardage. So 2nd and 5 now, pick up of 5, and Jacob Walker in the backfield now for Washington. bringing the reserves, and he's being wrapped up for a big loss. No, he's not. He shakes the tackle. Washington still playing hard, and then get back up to the line of scrimmage. By the way, if you haven't noticed, we are in running clock territory now, so that may be the last play of the third quarter.
Very likely will be. Washington will probably just hold it out here. I would certainly assume so.
It looks like Washington is walking off the field, and their lead increasing ever more. It's 45-14 at the half. They had 2 more touchdowns. Garrett Cox, a fumble recovery, being one of them. He's had a great night, as really everyone for Washington's had a night. This fourth quarter is just going to be just to put a bow on it and get some guys in there and keep the starters fresh. Washington leading big here at the end of 3 on CIProud.com. We'll be back for the fourth after these messages.
The Janssen Law Center has protected Illinois citizens for over 40 years.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years.
And welcome back to Washington. There you're going to look at Marcus Forrest, the head coach for Danville. And Gavin, what a story for him. You know, he's in his, look at his coach files, he's in his 7th season, 36-27 record, but he's a former Vanderbilt player. He's a running back for the Commodores in the mid-90s. He spent 9 years in the Navy in Maryland, and he also had a heart transplant just back in 2021 as Washington runs for a loss there, but yeah, he had a heart failure, and thankfully he was able to get a second chance at life. The doctor said that he had only anywhere between 2 weeks and 2 months left to live. He was able to get a heart that worked for him, and he is back on the sidelines. He missed a bit of that COVID spring, that was right back on the field in the fall.
I mean, that's just the definition of resiliency right there. I mean, just what a coach, what a person, just being able to get all the experience that he has. I'm sure he's passing along great things to all the players that have come through. And again, I remember, back he started in 2017. They had some great games when playing Peoria Central up here for possible conference championship. I believe they went 8-3 on that season. And, he's had some competitive teams with Danville. They're a resilient bunch. And, again, amazing story. If you ever come across him or something like that, definitely listen to him. He has a lot of great things to say.
And certainly, and I also want to take a quick moment. Marcus Forrest mentioned to me that, sad news coming out of his family. His brother passed away recently, so I want to extend our condolences to every member of the Forrest family from Clutch Sports Media. Certainly a tragic situation there, but Marcus, certainly, coaching with his, brother on his mind here tonight, and obviously, no matter the outcome, you gotta like the fight that Danville's put up. They're still playing hard. This is their last quarter of their season. For some of these seniors, their last quarter of their careers. I'm sure they just want to play inspired. That's what he's probably telling them right now.
I wouldn't hang your head too far. You made it to this point. You got to the playoffs. That's something that there's a lot of teams that don't say they made it to the playoffs and would be envious just to play this one extra game. So take it for what it's worth and be grateful for it, I'm sure is what he's saying. And I think he's got to be encouraged what he's seen. I would think that they're going to be a better team next season, and Forrest should have them continuing to move in the right direction down in Champaign-Urbana.
Certainly, and a lot of times in the Big 12, people like to talk about the Peoria Highs, the normal communities of the world, Normal West as well. But I think the Big 12 is just a lot better as a conference when teams like Danville are good. You also throw like P&D, Bloomington into the conversation. 6 playoff teams from the Big 12. Or maybe 7 if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to count them out. Normal Community, Peoria High, Normal West, Bloomington, Centennial, P&D, Danville. Yeah, so 7 out of the 11 teams in the conference made the playoffs. Shows you how strong it is. Even though Danville went 5-4, you still, again, one of the best conferences outside of Chicago in the entire state.
Yeah, we talked about on the In the Clutch podcast about how you look at a team like Notre Dame, who also just kind of slipped into the playoffs, how they have a lot of potential to possibly beat Kewanee, who's 8-1, but I really think that they could certainly do that. And, when you're battle tested like that, the record doesn't always tell the full story, John. So looking for some of these teams, again, Danville's going to be back in the thick of it next year in a highly competitive Big 12.
Peoria High, speaking of the Big 12, they're on the ropes now. At field goal for Joliet Catholic has made it 18-8 in the third quarter.
They are nearing, though, the end zone as Peoria Central is starting to move the ball down. A lot of time left in that game.
Yeah, still in the third quarter, and if anyone can put up points quick, it's Peoria High. Hilltoppers defense, you got to credit them. 2nd and 11 for Danville, deep in their own territory. Jay looking to pass on the slant route, looking for Jerry Reed, who's been a second-half playmaker. Ball bounced in front of him. And Dunlap is going to overtime.
Overtime in a playoff game is...
buckle up.
If you're a fan of one of those teams, it is one of the most heart-palpitating things you can do in your life.
I would use the word palpitating, but I have no idea what that word means.
It means you're nervous.
I don't think Washington's too nervous right now. They're probably feeling pretty good. 3rd and 11 now here. Let's see if the Panthers defense can get off the field. Jay runs a pitch play out to, I believe that is Shaw. He runs near side, out across the 25. He's tight ropes the sideline, still in bounds. Nice run there for Phillip Shaw of about 30 yards. He gained on that play. Looked like he may have been pushed out for a short gain.
Well, he finally, was able to hold on to the ball there and got into a little space, made something happen. So, again, just the sneak peek, if, they can execute a little better. It won't be Shaw, but perhaps Robinson next year can kind of execute that play for the Vikings and keep going forward with that.
Sounds good. Our Joey Wright just relays to us that he'll have Daryl Crouch for an interview after he meets with the team after the game, so stay tuned for that to hear his thoughts. Again, the Big DC, as we like to call him, in his last year coaching Washington, and his coaching career will extend at least another game as Shaw is just wrapped up by a whole host of Panthers. Miller Rampenthal, number 71, was one of them. See who else is on the field for Washington. Rampenthal is out there, as well as Thomas Diedrich. Ian Nettles, Owen Blacker being the secondary. Andre Lewis in the secondary as well, with Brody Schultz. Ethan Schofield, backup linebacker, in. And Peoria High has scored a touchdown. That makes it close the game over at Peoria Stadium. 2nd and 10 here for Danville. Allen well over the head of Diddy Robinson. Thrown in the direction of Nettles, but too high for the senior DB to grab. And Gavin, real quick about Washington, even these backup guys we don't get to see quite as often. They have a lot of experience even in their reserves as well. A lot of their reserves, I think, could probably start for a lot of Mid-Illini teams too.
Indeed they would, and again, that's such the sad part, just kind of, overshadowed a little bit at times, but certainly coming key. Depth can play a big factor, and certainly they're showing it right now.
3rd and 10 as we approach the halfway mark of the fourth quarter. It's been all Washington here tonight. Handoff going to Caleb Robinson. He tries to switch course, and maybe he has something out of this. Gets up to about the 39. Pick up a 4 on 3rd and 10. And I'm sure Danville will go for this. Dunlap has, as of 2 minutes to go, in a 3rd and goal situation. Haven't received any score updates. So maybe they got stopped, but we'll reserve judgment.
Boy, especially, I believe, maybe this is only a regular season rule, but when they go to the shootout, basically, where, both teams get an opportunity in the overtime periods to try to score, and whoever bends first is the loser, that was also very stressful.
Jay going deep down the field, and the pass is out of the reach of Diddy Robinson. I think it's no question that he's really one of their main playmakers they look towards, and he's a junior, so he's coming back. Darius J is again senior, as is Phillip Shaw, but you got Caden Young, a junior, coming back. Lots of other juniors as well, including Caleb Robinson, a couple linemen as well. So good chance for them to just get some playoff experience. Maybe at this point it doesn't feel like a playoff game because they're going against Washington's backups. But you either win or you learn every game. And obviously this will be a learning experience for the Vikings, and I think it will serve them well going into the offseason. They'll be motivated, I think, by this game.
Indeed, they will.
First and 10 for the Panthers, and a quick run up the middle. And Gavin, it's going to be hard for us to pick a player of the game tonight. Garrett Cox has been great. Kenan McQuarrie got things started with 3 touchdowns. Jace Harlan has played an important role as well. Humphreys had some good passes. I'm going to say right now, we'll wait till we get the official stats from Daryl Crouch, but I'm going to say right now, I'm going to lean towards Garrett Cox.
Yeah, the way he's played as a tight end, also on defense. But, I feel like it's almost unfair to just pick one guy, as it's just been a complete team effort. You want to pick one that stood out, but there's been so many, and no matter who we end up picking on that, if you're a Washington player, don't feel left out. You played great in this ball game. Really just, again, a team effort.
And there's our Right Soapery graphic. Again, unofficial sponsor, but yeah, with how slippery the ball's been tonight, again, want some good slippery soap. That's also high quality as well. Small batch soap. Now their motto is, now go wash your hands. And I'm sure Washington probably go wash their hands, but they're probably feeling pretty clean, and they were able to handle the soap pretty well tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't easy conditions. Danville proved that, but, Washington was able to take advantage of it. And the Right Soapery now on board, thanks to the rain.
Dunlap and Blue Island Eisenhower heading to double overtime at 35 all. Both teams scored in the first OT. Handoff, I believe that was to Zane Hewlett, the senior fullback. Everyone getting a chance for Washington tonight.
Again, time going to run out here and going to expire, but again, I'm sure they're not going to be too sad with getting on the field. It's gotten very, very cold. The crowd is really thinned out. Even here in the box, it's starting to get rather chilly. This is football weather indeed. Can't believe next week it's going to be November, John, and November means high school football championship pretty soon and also start a high school basketball season. So this is an exciting time in the IHSA, especially Central Illinois.
It's always fun to see the playoffs, see the brackets come out, see who makes it far, who's a Cinderella team, and who's the team that just continues to dominate. And hand it off to number 48. We don't even have a number 48 on the roster given to us, Gavin. So JV season is not even officially done. That's Evan Deasy, as our Charlie Shermanhorn says, on the carry for Washington. Under 2 minutes left to play in. Stay tuned, folks. Again, we'll have our Joey Wright standing by on the sideline. He's going to try and talk to Daryl Crouch as well as Garrett Cox, who's made some really big plays in the game. He's a very funny guy as well. So hopefully we get Garrett Cox to give some good answers for the camera. A really nice fella.
Remember last year, Garrett Cox joined us, I believe with Jake Stewart. We went to Corey's Pub and did the Live in the Clutch podcast, and they were always a great interview, great to talk with them. So, yeah, if we can talk with them again, it'd be a great experience, kind of hear from the player and the coach perspective. You got to love that.
And we are now under a minute left to play here in Washington, so the Panthers will hang on to win their 8th game in a row. Their only loss, 7-3 against Kankakee back in week 2. The K is the #1 team in the state, and Washington was right there the entire game. So I think think the takeaway tonight, Gavin, is that, this Washington team, I think they have state on their mind, and it's a realistic possibility for them.
It very well is, and I think that they have a lot to think about, but I think they're just going to enjoy this one. Couple people owe Jace Harlan dinner. And certainly, again, as the fumble comes out again, how appropriate as we finish this one off with a fumble and put a bow on it.
And that will do it here from Washington. The Panthers put out a dominant performance and leave no doubt in the first round of the Class 6A playoffs. They move on to the round of 16. We'll step aside here on CIProud.com, wrap things up, and talk to Daryl Crouch and Garrett Cox, or at least try our best to, after these messages on WMBD's Game of the Week.
The Jansen Law Center has protected Illinois citizens for over 40 years with regard to dangerous drugs and has taken on the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world and have won cases for Illinois residents.
Jay Jansen. One name says it all.
And the Washington Panthers, as celebrate good times come on, comes on the speaker. They're going to be celebrating tonight a 59-14 win over the Danville Vikings to advance to the second round of the Class 6A playoffs, where they will face the winner of Crete-Monee and Champaign Centennial. Yeah, I mean, worth monitoring that game, obviously, not just to see who wins, but to see if, because whoever wins that game depends if Washington will be at home or on the road. Crete-Monee wins, Washington will be back here at Babcock Field next week. If they lose, or I should say if Crete-Monee loses and Champaign Centennial wins, Panthers will be on the road against the Chargers. Either way, that's going to be a great game to watch.
It really is, and again, Washington showed in a big way. Again, they were maybe a bit of heavy favorites coming into this one. They had the higher seed, of course, but got themselves off to a really good start and a lot of momentum going into next week, as whoever they play should also have a lot of momentum as well.
And, really, Gavin, again, the most impressive thing about Washington is not only have they beat, very good teams by, decent margin. Well, I should say they haven't just beaten very good teams. They beat them by good margins as well. Danville, again, no slouch at all, playing in the very competitive Big 12, and a team that was playing their best football at this point of the year. And it was just all Panthers tonight. Their defense took advantage of multiple fumbles, took some back for scores, had a kick return for a touchdown, Mason Burke to start the game. And Danville also had 2 return touchdowns as well from Jerry Reed and Javon Diddy Robinson. He's also one of their best basketball players, Robinson is, on the Danville Vikings. So keep an eye out for him in the Big 12 this year. But, for Danville, Gavin, obviously the other side of the coin, their season's over. Career is over for some players as well. Can only imagine what some of them are feeling. Probably not the way they wanted to go out, but I can tell you right now, I can say that Marcus Forrest was probably giving them the speech of their life right now. Very motivating guy, and just really well spoken. I think he's gonna send these guys out well.
He really is, and he's a guy that has faced so much adversity in his life, and he's obviously more than likely carrying that over to his coaching. He certainly is, and he's able to really put together a solid football program. Again, all of 30, 35 guys on their entire roster, and to be able to get them to this point to compete in the Big 12 Conference, it's not going to be a good feeling, but you got to give them so much credit for fighting, coming out here on a rainy evening against mighty Washington and, putting up a fight. So I expect big things in the future from Danville, and as long as Marcus Forrest is the head coach, there's going to be good things for the Vikings.
There certainly will be. And real quick, looking at other scores around the area, lots of games that weren't really too close tonight. Normal Community beats Argo 43-0. The top-seeded Ironman cruising on into the second round of the Class 7A playoffs. Normal U-High, their season comes to a close. They get beat 44-0 at Coal City. Kohlers all over the Pioneers and end their best season in 8 years. Joliet Catholic and Peoria High, though, very close game, 18-16 on ClutchSportsIL.com. You can head over there after Joey Wright. He's about to grab Daryl Crouch and Garrett Cox and hear from them after the game. It should be some great stuff, so don't go anywhere quite yet. Again, Dunlap still in the second overtime against Blue Island Eisenhower. They trail by a touchdown, so they have to score here, otherwise the Eagles' season is over. And I just can update now, they scored. They'll be heading to triple overtime up in the southern portion of Chicago. Another game that really isn't too close. Lombard Montini, one of the top teams in Class 3A, all over Eureka, 42-0. And Gavin, again, lots of great games on tap tomorrow as well. Lots of local teams. Morton plays tomorrow against Providence Catholic. Lots of great small school games as well. What are you kind of looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the game we'll be at tomorrow. You know, Metamore and Decatur MacArthur on ClutchSportsIL.com. I'm going to have pictures as well as a story to follow on that one, but you, of course, can watch it live and for free. Again, ClutchSportsIL.com. Metamora is going to be one of the lone Mid-Illini teams playing on Saturday, and they get a heavy test with MacArthur. Even though they have the home field advantage, that's a really intriguing matchup because how red hot both of those teams are. So a lot to look for, but there's several intriguing Saturday games. I mentioned Peoria Notre Dame as they take on 8-1 Kewanee. Certainly that could have upset territory for sure as the Irish go to Kewanee. So lots to keep our eye on. And then, you know, I'm already thinking ahead, you know, where these teams are going to land next week and what time they may play, what day they may play. You know, it gets real interesting between Fridays and Saturdays. So we'll see what they head up to. But we'll get Daryl Crouch and Garrett Cox here in a moment. A lot of great games to keep our eye on. And we got it all on ClutchSportsIL.com.
Yeah, we're trying to pry Daryl Crouch away. He's being hogged right now by another media outlet, but P&D is up 21-7 in the fourth quarter against Kewanee. Gavin, can't remember about you, but I did pick the Irish to win at the game. Again, had upset potential. Playing against good competition all year will really,
I thought they were playing on Saturday
well.
here.
No, they're playing tonight.
Friday night. Oh, how about the Irish? Okay, how about that?
All right, Joey Wright Daryl Crouch and Garrett Cox right now. Garrett Cox just got caught up there. We're trying to get a hold of them, folks, but everyone wants to talk to them. Again, Washington winning 59-14 here tonight. Joey Wright's going to be talking with Crouch. Again, he's in his last season as well. And again, you said, maybe not a ton of emotion going in tonight. It's just business as usual for them. And I think that was apparent in their team performance as well.
Yeah, it really had to be. They got it done at every level. That's what they've done all season long. You know, they had that one lone 1-point loss to Kankakee, but, you take that away for that, they've been perfect otherwise, and they've made very few mistakes. They're disciplined. They're experienced. I mean, just all of the above for the Panthers, and likely, as you'll hear here in a moment, Daryl Crouch will just say, how much he appreciates his team and how much good things they did tonight.
Certainly, as our Joey Wright is going to be sitting by here pretty soon with Daryl Crouch as he gets things all set up. But, again, defense wins championships in the playoffs. It's an old adage, but it is true. And, I think that's the reason why Washington can't make it so far. Again, a Danville offense that put up 60 and 71 in the last couple weeks. And then they only held them to 14 tonight. Joey is sitting by with the winning head coach, Daryl Crouch. Joey, down to you.
Thanks, John. Daryl Crouch with us now on the Clutch Sports Media postgame show. Daryl, as complete a win tonight as I think you could ask for. 59-14 over a good Danville team. What's the quick thought?
I thought our guys came out fast again and played really hard. Our defense always is playing lights out. Offensively, we threw the ball and made some things happen there. Just have to shore up a couple things like special teams on kickoff. Did not do a very good job for us tonight, but the rest of our special teams did a really good job. When you open up with a kickoff return for 6, that sets the tone for the night. And then I think we only punted once, and our punt team was fine.
What did that kickoff return right out of the gate do for you guys?
It was super surprising. Mason's kind of in the wrong place when he first gets the ball. He's supposed to get it to the wall. He doesn't get to the wall at first, bounces it outside, and then he was just gone. So I didn't think that was going to turn out the way it did when it first started out. But that sets a huge tone. You get guys that just traveled a couple hours to get here, and then 20 seconds in the game, they're down 7-0. I think that's a pretty good mindset to boost our guys up and make those guys kind of think, it's rainy, cold at that point, and we're up 7-0. And then I think we scored again. D set us up, and we were like 14-0 right off the bat.
Garrett Cox, our player of the game. Great effort from him defensively. He's going to join us in just a second, but as he makes his way over here, what'd you see from him and the defense tonight?
Defensively, he was great, and he was great again at tight end, too. We got him the ball a couple times tonight in traffic. But defensively, he's always like a pressure guy, runs himself back into plays. He had a couple tackles where he ran himself back into plays totally away from him. Where you're kind of the unaccounted for guy and just, busted his tail and hustled and got back into those plays.
And then, Darryl, this is your final season at the helm of this Washington program, 8-1 regular season, big win in the playoffs tonight. Emotions, how are you kind of managing those? As they I was talking with Herb Knobloch earlier, and he said it kind of hit you last week after the Morton win a little bit.
Yeah, especially now at this point, because everyone you're thinking could be your last one. You don't play well, anything happens, and you just know you're done. It's been a great place to be, so that makes it hard. I think our program's in really good shape. We won conference at all 3 levels, so Coach Stevens, when he takes over next year, he has a super great core of guys coming in, so it's not going to drop off for him. So I'm definitely going to miss that part of it. There'll be other parts of my job I won't miss, but definitely those, and Friday nights. The playoff pairings party is always a great time. The coaches get together and have all the speculation around what's going to happen, and just really, I still enjoy going to practice with our guys. It's just some of the other things where you're up at 5:15 in the morning all summer long to get the product that we have, and our guys buy in, and they're up at that same time too.
Certainly paying off so far this season. Hopefully a lot of those practices left, Coach. Appreciate the time.
So.
Absolutely. Always look forward to seeing the Panthers. We'll bring in Garrett Cox, our player of the game. Darryl Crouch with us here on the Clutch Sports Media postgame show. Garrett, great effort from you tonight on both sides of the ball. Big win here in round 1 of the playoffs. What's the quick thought?
Quick thought is we are excited. We have a post-game ritual. We got a steak and shake, get a Butterfinger milkshake. So that's really what I'm looking forward to right now. Me and some of the guys are gonna go. But no, we're excited. We're excited to be moving on and surviving advance, especially for Coach Crouch's last season. So we just want to make it as far as we can for him.
What are the emotions attached to that? Obviously, Coach has meant a lot to this program. Last 19 seasons, 8-1 regular season, big win tonight. Just kind of how do you manage, locking in on the game and still wanting to, also send him out with a bang?
We're really excited to help him further his last season. We know what he's done for us, what he sacrificed for us in school, on the football field, and what standard he holds us to, and that's really what kind of standard we hold him to. He's a great coach, and we absolutely love the guy.
And then a great showing from the fans tonight, even with the cold and rain. Kickoff return, to start the game, and I see a bunch of colored smoke going up over there, and they certainly gave you guys an advantage tonight. What was it like to look up and see those guys out there tonight?
That fan section is always there. They are always electric. They always bring the energy. Probably a lot of pickup to do up there, which is a great thing. It's been talked about all week. Student section was going to be huge tonight, and I think they swayed the momentum a ton. I didn't really hear their fans. I didn't really hear ours either, but when I did, I heard them singing, I heard them loud, I heard them chanting, and they always just have our backs, and we're extremely grateful for that.
Good night out here in Washington, 59-14 win over Danville. Garrett, appreciate the time, and good luck next week,
Thank
man.
you. Appreciate it.
John, we'll go back up to you in the booth if I could talk. Big win for Washington tonight. Let you guys close the door on what's been a lot of fun down here on the field tonight.
Thank you, Joey, for all your efforts all night long on the sidelines and for all of our hardworking crew at Clutch Sports Media. What a game, though, for Washington. Garrett Cox mentioned it. The fans were great. Darryl Crouch, again, one of the best in the area. It's their defense, one of the best in the area as well. They win it 59-14. Washington moves on to round 2 of the Class 6A playoffs. So for my broadcast partner Gavin Russell and all the rest of our hardworking Clutch Sports Media crew, Brock Stotler, Matthew Schmidt, David Stevenart, Paco Alonso, Kenny Clifton, Charlie Schermerhorn, Josh Messenger, Joey Wright, and everybody else. I'm probably forgetting people as well. I'm Jonathan Michaels saying so long from Washington. Had a pleasure talking to you tonight. Hopefully we'll talk with you next week for more playoff football on CIProud.com and on Clutch Sports and Media as well. Until then, so long, folks. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.